and the Euro 2021 qualifiers.
On the edge of the area to Emsley, and Emsley's going to finish it off.
Plus, all the home nations' international friendlies.
Lucy Bronze with the strike from the edge of the penalty area.
World-beating big match conversation.
There's Jodie Taylor.
Subscribe now to the Women's Football Weekly podcast on Acast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Premier League Live with Talk Sport.
Ronaldo surging through, and Cristiano Ronaldo has scored again. Salah, it's 4. Lukaku's in. Lukaku, De Bruyne, 2-2.
It's the most intense league in world football, and we've got all the action right here.
It's Harry Kane through the middle, lobbing the goalkeeper. It's in. McGinn. Oh yes. Oh yes. Mane is in here, goal side of wide, square to Salah and it's 3, square to Salah and it's 3.
Premier League Live with Talk Sport.
You are listening to TalkSport's coverage of Chelsea against Manchester United from Stamford Bridge. I'm your host, Joe Shannon, alongside me, the former Chelsea and Manchester United defender, Paul Parker. This is Premier League Live. Well, after Manchester City's home victory over West Ham, Chelsea will go 3 points clear at the top of the Premier League with a win here this evening. Thomas Tuchel's side have lost just once all season so far, spurred on by a watertight defence, which has conceded just 4 times in 12 league games. It's a time of change for Manchester United, with Ralph Rangnick's imminent appointment coming up shortly. Michael Carrick takes interim charge today for the first and most probably final time in the Premier League following the sacking of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. United are on a dreadful run and sit 6 points off the top 4. Team news, 2 changes to the Chelsea side that beat Juventus here in the Champions League in midweek. Chilwell is out after suffering a knee ligament injury during the game. Kante twisted his knees, who is also unavailable. Loftus-Cheek and Timo Werner, who scored off the bench against Juve, both start. Lukaku remains on the Chelsea bench. Mendy in goal, Chalobah, Thiago Silva and Rudiger. James, Jorginho, Loftus-Cheek and Marcos Alonso, Ziyech and Hudson-Odoi behind Werner up front. There's a shock in the team news for Manchester United fans, with Cristiano Ronaldo dropped by interim boss Michael Carrick despite scoring in the midweek Champions League win at Villarreal. Bailly replaces the suspended Harry Maguire. There are returns for Bruno Fernandes and Rashford, plus a start for Nemanja Matic in place of Donny van der Beek in midfield. De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Bailly and Alex Telles, Fred, Matic and McTominay, Sancho and Rashford either side of Bruno Fernandes. Paul Parker with me in the commentary position. Paul, looking forward to this at Stamford Bridge, but we have to start with the Manchester United team news. Cristiano Ronaldo only on the bench.
Yeah, second time. This has happened again in the Everton game. It turned out a poor decision, but I look at it now and I can see maybe where it's going, but sometimes someone like him sitting there affects players' minds. They start thinking themselves, who's going to score the goals if he does go up? Have we got enough belief in who's going to be playing up there in Sancho and Rashford? So that could be questioned about him being on the bench. But when I look at the team, it's a little bit uninspiring, I must say.
The midfield 3, McTominay, Matic and Fred, I'll call it workmanlike to be polite, but that is not a midfield 3 that I think most Manchester United fans would look at and be inspired by.
I think they'll work hard to get around. The problem is the only one who can get around quick is Fred. We know that Matic can't. We know that Scott McTominay can't get around and pitch quick. He can't move his feet quick with and without the ball. So I don't know what he's thinking there. Why he's going like this? Bruno Fernandes will be doing a lot of the work himself, because when you look at the fact of Marcus Rashford is a player that needs to be pushed to run. He doesn't want to run. He doesn't want to work without the ball. So he's going to have to be driven to go and do it. Fernandes does it because of the fact of he just wants to win games of football and he just wants to touch the ball and make and score goals. So be interesting how he goes about his task today.
And for Chelsea, the changes are routine. Alonso, we expected to come in. Loftus-Cheek for the injured Kante. Werner up front for Pulisic. But let me ask you briefly, Paul, about Reece James, a man who played in your position, the right full-back position or the right wing-back position as he plays for Chelsea. 4 goals, 4 assists from 7 Premier League starts so far this season. Scored or assisted in each of Chelsea's last 4 league matches. Is he the best right back in the country at the moment?
He's the best right back I've seen in years, to be perfectly honest. People have been talking about the best. Kyle Walker has been absolutely fantastic for his club, been fantastic for his country. He's improved defensively no end, incredibly. That was one of the things he was lacking. But when you look at somebody who goes forward in the manner he goes forward in Reece James, the way he scores and he makes goals, I love the fact of when he defends because he does not want anybody getting any advantage in that area of the park which he sees as ease. And when they talk about another person who's, because he assists, he's the best, not in a million years. This man can defend as well as anybody can defend, but he can attack as well as any attacking fullback in this country and in Europe.
And he starts for Chelsea today. Kick-off 20 minutes away. Chelsea against Manchester United is our late afternoon commentary here on Premier League Live. Really looking forward to it with Paul Parker alongside me. Coming up next, we'll look back at the best of the action from today's games.
Crammed full of the latest team news, big match previews and discussing the day's hottest topics.
An improvement week in, week out.
Plus, get all the latest results and full fan reaction to the biggest events in world sport.
It's a wonderful goal!
Satisfy your thirst for sports news with the Talk Sport hit. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcast, Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
Talk Sport. 20 years old and still not able to make a cup of tea.
That's a great starting point, I think. Excuse me.
With bitter experience comes great responsibility.
Let's go to Cumbria and Fraser. Fraser, good morning. Hello. Fraser, get out of that lane.
The nation's first and best commercial sports radio station.
Live, lubricated and legendary.
20 years of Talk Sport.
Previously on White and Jordan.
This is rewarding mediocrity. No, it's not. It's the exact opposite.
Two towering giants of sports media.
He's got COVID-19. He's got Newcastle wanting to sue him. He's got broadcasters pulling money out of deals left, right and centre. You wouldn't want to fly with this guy, would you?
Jim White and Simon Jordan.
Double trouble, daily drama and searing debate.
Continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
20 years of Talk Sport.
Gentlemen, good evening.
There's no such thing as an overnight success.
Accrington Stanley 4, titanium plasmatronic death droids from the future, 0.
Excess.
I wasn't getting up, I was just getting in.
Excitement.
Excuse me, I was
and extremely strong opinions.
I spend my life covering the big game at the big level.
On DAB, medium wave and on your smart speaker. 20 years of Talk Sport.
Previously on White and Jordan.
If you haven't bought, owned, managed, sold a player, managed a football club, sat in a boardroom, sat in a dressing room, what exactly do you know?
100% engagement.
The Football League is a league which is a busted flush. You're obsessed with that subject, you do know that.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. High Octane Radio. Continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
The Women's Football Weekly Podcast.
With Faye Carruthers. All the action, excitement and drama from across the entire women's game.
Cleared off the line by Steph Horton.
Including the Women's Super League.
Ellen White is there to tap it in.
The UEFA Women's Champions League.
Lana Clellan striking from outside the penalty area.
And the Euro 2021 qualifiers.
On the edge of the area to Emsley. And Emsley's going to finish it off.
Plus, all the home nations' international friendlies.
Lucy Bronze with the strike from the edge of the penalty area.
World-beating big match conversation.
There's Jodie Taylor.
Subscribe now to the Women's Football Weekly Podcast on Acast, Apple Podcast, Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
You are listening to Premier League Live, commentary of Chelsea against Manchester United in just over 15 minutes' time. First, though, let's look back on the best of today's action so far.
Oh, it's a mistake. Here's a chance for Leicester. And it's been taken by Madison. Well, what on earth was Craig Cathcart doing? There was a long ball over the top, and he just ducked. It's a massive error. And even James Maddison, in the form that he's been in this season, is not going to miss chances like that.
Mahrez in the penalty area, left-footed across the face of goal, and it's been turned in by İlkay Gündoğan. Captain Marvel for Manchester City. A hopeful ball across the 6-yard box, falling perfectly for Gündoğan. He couldn't miss.
Josh King from 12 yards out with the chance to equalise in the heavy snow for Claudio Ranieri's Watford, and he does so. Kasper Schmeichel guessed the right way, but it was a crisp penalty right into the corner.
Can Brentford capitalise from the spot? Ivan Toney up against Jordan Pickford, who bounces up and down on his goal line. Toney slowly walks up to the ball, right footed, sends the keeper coolly the wrong way, and Brentford take the lead.
Towards Maddison, scoops it into the penalty area. It's Jamie Vardy into the penalty area. Brilliant goal from Jamie Vardy. It's whipped in, it's Vardy. Oh yes, he's done it again. There's no stopping Jamie Vardy in the snow this afternoon. It's 3-1. Harvey Barnes into the penalty area. Harvey Barnes must be. Lookman makes it 4. Simple goal really, and his first goal in the Premier League for Leicester City.
Corner taken short. Jesus into the penalty area, cuts it back to Fernandinho. There's the clincher, and Fernandinho dispossessed by Lanzini, shoots. Oh, it's a wonderful goal. Super strike on the volley from Manuel Lanzini. It won't make too much difference to the outcome, but Lanzini has given those travelling West Ham fans something to smile about in the 95th minute.
Yeah, big week in the Premier League once again. Big day on Sunday too. Big win for Brentford, 1-0 over Everton. Ivan Toney from the penalty spot. Pressure really ramps up now on Rafa Benitez, doesn't it, as Brentford leapfrog his side in the Premier League table. Burnley against Spurs, by the way, was postponed due to adverse weather conditions. Lots of snow in the Lancashire area. They couldn't clear it in time, so Brentford against Spurs was called off. Leicester with a much needed victory over Watford by 4-2. So Claudio Ranieri back at the King Power Stadium, but no change for him against the club with whom he won the league in 2015-2016. Couple of goals for Jamie Vardy today. And Manchester City, as you heard, 2-1 winners over West Ham, so that puts them level with Chelsea ahead of our live commentary. The big game of the weekend here on Premier League Live, Chelsea against Manchester United. And Paul, first of all, let's briefly reflect on what we've seen so far today. Big win for Brentford, but I mean, you have to say the pressure on Rafa Benitez now. Everton down to 14th in the table, just 6 points clear of the drop zone. That pressure is only going to increase.
Oh, without a doubt. The biggest problem is they can't really score goals. They're so beholden on Andros Townsend to try and make things happen. I mean, he had a great start the season from. He is their to a point, their go-to person when you're looking for things to happen. They're missing the centre forward, Calvert-Lewin. He's been a big loss. Rondon, it hasn't happened. I don't think it will happen with him at this moment. But it was always going to be a difficult job because Ancelotti didn't leave it in the best state. It was always a bits and bobs team defensively. They're quite weak. They haven't got much creativity from midfield at all, really. So it's a difficult job. And if Rafa Benitez is struggling like this, I seriously believe that any other manager would be a lot worse at his present moment, because Rafa Benitez, for me, is good at organisation and having the right thing. He's got decent tools to work with. He can make something of it, like he done at Newcastle. Now, I don't know, when you look at what the costings of what those players have cost at Everton compared to what he had at Newcastle, it tells you that they've overpaid Everton for what they've got, for the quality what they've got. The players who he has brought in have been doing decent jobs. It's the ones who are there already who are not compliant. Well, they're just not doing it for him. They're not playing the game for him or for the club. And
some of them have been there for some time. What about Leicester? Couple more goals for Jamie Vardy. Big win for Brendan Rodgers, takes them up to 9th in the Premier League table. Watford only 4 points clear of the relegation zone. And do you think some of the recent criticism of Brendan Rodgers has been a bit harsh? And this is a win, isn't it, that will go some way to just quietening some of that?
The answer to your first one, listen, if you put yourself in a position where you make yourself high profile and you enjoy when you get mentioned for top jobs, then when it isn't going right, then you have to expect to get it, because that's what life's about.
Yeah.
Especially today's world, when you put yourself out there and people show out, then people, when it's going wrong, they're going to come at you. When I look at about their win today, I think they chugged, didn't they? They chugged today. Everyone would have expected them to beat Watford comfortably. They haven't done it.
Dreadful conditions, we have to say as well. I mean, the snow was for both teams.
Both teams,
absolutely.
Yeah. So it's about having the right people. And when you've got someone like Jamie Vardy who comes out and he's breeding from where he's come from, playing what he played in the day, doesn't bother him. Doesn't bother him at all. It's some of the others you have to look at. So I think Brendan Rodgers, at the end of the day, if he wants to be at the top, wants to put himself there and be mentioned for every top job, as he always seems to get mentioned, then as much as that's a pat on the back for him, then sometimes he's going to have to take maybe the kick up the backside sometimes as well.
And Manchester City beat West Ham by 2-1. Gundogan and Fernandinho with the goals. A stunner from Manuel Lanzini for West Ham, but it was the last kick of the game. City winning it 2-1. West Ham clinging on to their spot in the top four. Just briefly, Paul, Chelsea, City, Liverpool, the top three. Is that the title race this season between those three?
Yeah, without a doubt. No one else can get involved in that. No one else is really good enough at this moment in time.
Okay, well, so much to talk about. We haven't even spoken about Ralf Rangnick yet. He's the man who everybody says is going to be in charge of Manchester United sooner rather than later. We understand that his appointment has only not been confirmed so far because he's had issues with getting a work permit, but we expect that this will be the last game before the appointment of Ralf Rangnick. Very experienced and has had lots of praise from across the footballing world, but what do his fellow Premier League managers think of him? We'll hear from the Manchester United interim boss Michael Carrick in just a few moments, but here's the Chelsea boss, a man who knows Rangnick well. Here is Thomas Tuchel.
He helped me a lot because he was my coach, and then he was one of the main figures to convince me to try coaching. So he had a huge influence on all of us at this time, because he showed us that it's not necessary to follow people to the toilet in football games, because that was the belief in these days, that the defenders follow their strikers wherever they go, and he showed us that it's possible to defend everybody in a zone. But listen, I mean, before I get carried away and talk too much, he is not appointed yet, and let's respect everybody. Let's respect Ralf, his decision, and the club's decision, and when things are done, then we can maybe talk about it.
To be honest, from my point of view, not a lot really. Speculation and reports are speculation and reports. So as I'm sitting here now, I'm preparing the team for the game. Really, my head's on the game. I haven't got any more news to share with you on that front. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to getting down to London and playing against Chelsea.
Okay, so Michael Carrick takes charge of Manchester United for the first time in the Premier League, probably the final time today. What about, though, Paul Parker, the man who is set to come in as interim boss, as we understand it, Ralf Rangnick? His appointment is imminent. The 63-year-old German, who reportedly turned down the chance to become Chelsea interim manager in January before Thomas Tuchel was appointed, most notably in charge of RB Leipzig, who rose from the 4th tier to 2nd in the Bundesliga during his first 5 seasons working for Red Bull between 2012 and 2017. Spell it as Salzburg as well. Obviously he's worked as the head of sports and development for Red Bull for a couple of years up until this year, when he was appointed at Lokomotiv Moscow in the same job. He signed a 3-year deal, but that doesn't seem to be much of a barrier for Manchester United. Lots of praise, seen as one of the great thinkers in football. Can he come into Manchester United though and make an impact?
I think change will be good for Manchester United at this moment in time. They need a complete change. They need a complete wash more than anything. And any ideas about, when you talk about culture, you talk about philosophy, all that kind of stuff that normally comes out about the club DNA and all this, that's just got to be put aside, because at the moment that DNA is not working for Manchester United. They need to find something new now. They need to the players within the club need to be tested. It wasn't tested with Ollie. Sentiment got involved, and sentiment, I always heard a rumour that it could cost you a job and I think it did with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So I think he needs a different face in there who doesn't know him, doesn't owe him anything, and just going to go in there and tell them that how much he wants from them. And if they don't want to do it, then there's other people who come and do it.
Well, if reports are to be believed, he'll be keeping a close eye on what we're watching tonight at Stamford Bridge. It's full, it's chilly, but we're really excited for this one in West London. It's the final game of the day on Premier League Live. It's Chelsea against Manchester United, and full commentary comes in just a few moments. You are listening to Premier League Live.
From the terraces to the touchline, if you're the ultimate football fan, you need to subscribe to the Game Day podcast from TalkSport.
Oh yes! He's done it again!
It's the twice-weekly Premier League roundup that brings you big-name guests, in-depth previews and tough-tackling analysis from the world's biggest football league.
Oh, what a finish! He's beaten the keeper to it!
Feel the might of the top flight. Subscribe now to the Game Day podcast. Available on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Get bowled over with Following On, the fast-paced cricket podcast from TalkSport that'll hit you for 6. It's a pitch-perfect delivery of first-class cricket news.
And that's a beautiful straight drive.
Boasting an impressive strike rate of exclusive big-name guests.
Oh, you little ripper!
And fielding fierce fan reaction.
Oh, that might be out.
Don't get caught out. Subscribe now to the Following On podcast. Available on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
They faced bitter prejudice.
What they had to endure was horrific.
They battled injustice.
Basically, they threw the rule book away.
But their talent was inextinguishable, and they rose to become sporting icons that etched their legacy on the history of English football.
What a strike! What a finish!
Coming in from the cold is an exclusive 6-part documentary that chronicles the struggles and the triumphs of black footballers in the English game. Join Jessica Crichton as she uncovers the untold stories and hears firsthand from a host of superstar names, including John Barnes, Viv Anderson, Luther Blissett, Andy Cole, Rachel Yankee, John Fashanu, and many more.
These guys went through it all, and they are true inspiration.
Coming in from the cold, the history of black footballers in the English game. Listen to the full series now, available on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Tom Rennie here to tell you about a new soccer podcast called Week in the Tackle with me and Brian Dunseth.
That's right, Tom. Well, join us for new episodes every Monday as we argue about all the top soccer stories we think are worth tackling.
Plus, we'll welcome the occasional guest to join in on the debate.
Strong opinions, big stories, no agenda.
Week in the Tackle, available on Mondays from wherever you get your podcasts.
If it's a big story in soccer, we'll tackle it.
Got an unquenchable thirst for sport? Get up to speed with the day's biggest sports stories with the TalkSport hit. Crammed full of the latest team news, big match previews, and discussing the day's hottest topics.
An improvement week in, week out.
Plus, get all the latest results and full fan reaction to the biggest events in world sport.
It's a wonderful goal!
Satisfy your thirst for sports news with the TalkSport hit. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You are listening to Talk Sports coverage of Chelsea against Manchester United from Stamford Bridge. I'm your host, Joe Shannon. Alongside me, the former Chelsea and Manchester United defender, Paul Parker. This is Premier League Live, and Stamford Bridge is absolutely buzzing. The floodlights are on. Chelsea, the league leaders, they can go 3 clear at the top ahead of Manchester City if they win here tonight. Manchester United 6 off the top 4. Ralph Rangnick's appointment as interim boss is imminent. Michael Carrick takes caretaker charge for the first time in the Premier League today following the sacking of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Here are the teams. Chelsea 3 changes. Alonso, Loftus-Cheek and Werner coming in. Remember, Kante and Chilwell out injured. Pulisic drops to the bench. Mendy in goal. Chalobah, Thiago Silva, Rudiger. James, Jorginho, Loftus-Cheek and Alonso. Ziyech and Hudson-Odoi behind Werner. Cristiano Ronaldo only on the bench for Manchester United. He's one of 800 goals for club and country, but no start today. United, De Gea in goal. Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Bailly and Telles. McTominay, Matic and Fred in the middle. Sancho and Rashford either side of Bruno Fernandes, who'll play furthest forward. Paul Parker, really looking forward to this one. And Chelsea, do you make them firm favourites, especially when you look at that team news?
I think you have to. We know that football isn't won over a team sheet or anything, but when you look at what's on either side of that team sheet, you have to say that they look incredible at the moment, Chelsea. We've seen their recent form, and that's the reason why they are firm favourites. I'm looking for what United do when they have the ball with those three players in that midfield. We know what Fernandes wants to do. I want to see what those three players can do to kind of make life easier for someone like Fernandes. I want to see Fernandes as close as possible to either Sancho and Rashford when they go forward, but we know both of them want to go wide. They don't want to go through the middle, so I really don't know what's going to happen here.
Well, it is a classic Premier League encounter, a time of change for Manchester United. And Chelsea poised to re-establish their grip at the top of the Premier League, and Chelsea kick us off in royal blue with white socks, playing from right to left in the first half towards the shed end, and Stamford Bridge buzzing with noise. Manchester United playing from left to right, white shirts, red shirts, white shorts and black socks. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? The red of Manchester United, the white shorts, the black socks, playing from left to right. An early touch for the Chelsea goalkeeper Edouard Mendy, all in grey. A big match atmosphere. Can Manchester United prove themselves with a change of foot at the club? Chelsea so imperious, particularly defensively, as Rudiger clears cross-field. And here's Reece James, who is one of the informed players in all of Europe right now. Reece James, who has either scored or assisted in each of Chelsea's last 4 Premier League matches. Rashford wins the ball back from Manchester United on the halfway line, but then gives it away. Ziyech tracking back for Chelsea, finds Thiago Silva midway inside his own half. And this Chelsea defence, Paul Parker, looks virtually impregnable whoever they come up against.
Yes, it's pretty strong, really strong I should say, but we know at some point they're going to have those moments when they will start to concede goals. But while you've got that belief in you do feel indestructible as a defender, like more than anything, like Reece James. I'm quite sure every time he gets anywhere near that box, he believes he can score a goal.
Trevor Chalobah in possession. He's been outstanding since coming into the Chelsea side this season. And now Antonio Rudiger out to the left-hand side of that back three. And Chelsea so calm in possession, Paul, despite that Manchester United press.
Well, they're trying to press, but they haven't done it. They've been doing it for a few days. And we just saw it just then, is that we've seen Sancho, I think it was Sancho went and closed down Rudiger, and all of a sudden, I don't know who it was, I think it might have been Alonso, just pulls that wide, and he's got like 20-30 yards around him. It was pointless going to close down on your own.
Hudson-Odoi, left wing position, wearing gloves, away from 2 in red, looks to set it through towards Ziyech inside the penalty area, and the effort lacked power, sort of squirmed off the boot of Ziyech, and De Gea makes a simple save away to his left hand side.
Well, it was just about Bailly has tried to win the ball in front, and he was on the corner of the 6-yard box. Just stay behind him, don't allow him to turn. As he nicks it off his toe, it allows Ziyech to be able to spin off the poor touch off of Bailly to go and have a shot at goal. Unfortunately, he's on his right side, so he didn't get the power that he wanted.
At Talk Sport Live on Twitter, if you'd like to get in touch. Manchester United do actually have a good recent record in this fixture, and beaten in the last 7 meetings in the Premier League between the two clubs, and haven't conceded in any of the last 4. And Chelsea, though, really have been imperious this season, particularly under Thomas Tuchel. Since Tuchel took charge in January, only Manchester City have picked up more Premier League points. Hudson-Odoi into the penalty area, clear on goal. Oh, and De Gea makes the save, but how has Callum Hudson-Odoi not put Chelsea in front? And arguably, you have to say, Manchester United's player of the season so far bails them out again.
Yeah, we've had this a few years ago when he won, I think, Player of the Year at least twice on the bounce, and it seems like there's a good chance he's going to get it again, because Hudson-Odoi should have scored, but David De Gea, he's outstretched left leg, puts it round the other side for a corner.
0-0, corner taken by Marcos Alonso, headed away by Bruno Fernandes at the near post. It seemed easier for Hudson-Odoi to score than to miss. He was edge of the 6-yard box, and nobody in Manchester United read anywhere near him. There's a problem here for the United skipper, who, having headed away the corner, has gone down inside the 18-yard area, and Bruno Fernandes being helped to his feet by Antonio Rudiger. He's holding on to his lower back, and he does get up to his feet.
I don't know why the referee has stopped that, by the way. He hasn't even gone down holding his head. He's taken a little bit of a thump in the back, but we know it's a physical game. And then he's killed the momentum of Chelsea fans. That's why they're booing. The referee shouldn't have stopped it. He wasn't even holding his head or anything. I think that's poor refereeing what he's done there, Anthony Taylor.
Bruno Fernandes out towards the far side now, as he stands with the physio just behind him, and Chelsea will keep possession with Thiago Silva on the halfway line. Bruno Fernandes comes back on, having been stood at the base of the cavernous west stand on the far side of the field. Bruno Fernandes with a cushion header back towards Fred for Manchester United, under pressure from Ziyech. The referee gives Manchester United a free kick, but Paul Parky is shaking your head.
Oh, he's given Manchester United a present there. That wasn't a foul, to be perfectly honest. Fred had miscontrolled it. The ball was flipped away from him, and I don't know who come in and just put the leg there. I think it was Ziyech come and put his leg there, and he's just fallen over. Anthony Taylor has gone for that hook, line and sinker.
I'm still mystified, Paul, as to how Callum Hudson-Odoi didn't put Chelsea in front just a few moments ago, but it was a terrific save by David De Gea, who has been one of very few players to show any sort of consistency for Manchester United this season. Well,
thank God for Manchester United he is showing consistency, or otherwise they would have been consistently being beaten 5-0. It's as simple as that. That's how poor they've been, to be honest. I think at the moment, with the way United are playing, they've got Rashford and Sancho playing like maybe out towards the width of the box, and Fernandes is trying to go in between them and trying to make runs from there. He'll get fed up with that soon, so he won't be touching the ball.
Here is Werner, having peeled away from Lindelof, and again the free kick given in favour of Manchester United by Anthony Taylor. I think there was a shove in the back of Lindelof by Timo Werner, who came off the bench to score against Juventus in midweek, or was there a shove?
I think that his arm was there in his back, and that was like to protect yourself, so you can get a distance, because you're worried about them treading back on your feet and treading on your toes. Trust me, on a cold day you don't want your toes stood on. But he's gone down, he's crumbled underneath that, by the way. That's why Timo Werner's pulled that face and just going, what's happening there?
And it is cold at Stamford Bridge, like across the whole of the country. We saw Burnley against Tottenham actually postponed because of the snow in Lancashire earlier. 6.5 minutes gone here. The atmosphere feverish. All of the Chelsea fans and the Manchester United fans are on their feet. It is still 0-0, and Michael Carrick up to the edge of his technical area, the interim boss, who of course we don't expect to be in charge really for any longer beyond this game. Ralph Rangnick's appointment is imminent, and we're told that the delays are to do with work permit issues, but of course we expect them to be ironed out. Michael Carrick, certainly, if this is to be his only Premier League game in charge, has certainly been bold with his team selection.
I don't know, some people might have another name for it rather than bold, to be perfectly honest.
Well, it takes a brave man to drop Cristiano Ronaldo. Werner looking to race through the middle. Lindelof gets across, and Lindelof clears, steers the ball forward towards the left back spot, but Chelsea are right on the heels of Manchester United, and Matic has wrestled Ziyech to the ground. It's a free kick to Chelsea, 5 yards from the corner of the 18-yard box.
Well, that initially started with Lindelof, didn't clear the ball properly, manages gets the opportunity to get the ball again, and his clearance with his left foot was poor, straight into the pack of Chelsea players coming forward, and that has put Matic in the incredible position. He ends up giving away a foul 10-15 yards away to the right hand side of the box.
Chelsea have started really well, lost just one of 12 Premier League games coming into today, winning 9 of the others. James over the ball, Reece James, who's enjoying this remarkable record of scoring and setting up goals. 4 goals and 4 assists in 7 Premier League starts this season. Chalobah and Rudiger both forward. It's whipped in towards Rudiger, far post, headed away by McTominay. Comes down to Werner, tries a shot, it's blocked. Could squeeze through towards Rudiger again. Manchester United clear through Eric Bailly up towards the halfway line, but Chelsea win it back straight away, and Chelsea dominating possession in the first 8.5 minutes.
Yeah, they're dominating possession, and United are trying their best to work hard off the ball, and it's just not in their culture at this moment in time, because they're not organised.
Werner, left-hand edge of the penalty area, he's got Ziyech ahead of him. Werner tries to drive the ball across, sliding into block is Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and it's a corner for Chelsea, right in front of the Manchester United fans away to the left. The shed-end goal that is split between home and away supporters. The skies are dark overhead, the floodlights are on, and the atmosphere is raucous as Alonso floats in the corner. Rudiger going up for it, but he didn't really make good enough contact, and it goes through to De Gea.
No, he didn't that moment in time. He didn't have a big run or anything. He made a contact, but there wasn't anything on it. David De Gea could allow it to bounce and grabbed it quite easily, but United need to get hold of the ball and try and at least as a team, make 5 passes together so they can all feel like they're all joined together and they're in this game together, because at the moment they are so disjointed and so on edge. Something's going to give soon.
Chelsea pressing very high up the field. Wan-Bissaka in the right back position with the long sleeve shirt, the gloves on, infield to McTominay, hassled and harried by Ziyech and Jorginho. Ziyech commits a foul, McTominay gets a free kick. Manchester United, that run that we spoke about, 5 defeats in 7 Premier League matches. I've just seen a shot in our monitors, Paul, of Cristiano Ronaldo watching on from the substitutes bench. We mentioned a one-off 800 goals for club and country. He won't be too happy having to watch from the sidelines.
No, that's exactly right. He won't be happy because he wants records. I think he won't. I don't know what's going to be worse, is him not getting 800 goals or the fact of maybe Portugal might not qualify for a World Cup, because that's another record as well, isn't it, if he goes to another World Cup?
Well, he doesn't actually have a great record against Chelsea. His only goal in 15 previous appearances was in the 2008 Champions League final, which seems like a world ago. The days of Sir Alex Ferguson, of course. Anyway, Ronaldo on the bench, so too Lukaku for Chelsea. On the field, Alex Telles, who wins a throw 10 yards into Chelsea territory, still in the side with Luke Shaw out with that head injury.
Well, he needs games, Telles, so we don't really know how good he is or how bad he is, because he just hasn't played no football. You know, Luke Shaw has somehow managed to make this unbelievable. He went for a spell incredible, but he's managed to keep his place when his performances have been poor. That's when you, as a player like Telles, you want an opportunity to prove yourself. He was never given that. Now he's got a chance. Generally, you get back into sides or you get into teams on the back of misfortune to someone else. That's what he's got to do at this moment in time. He's got to go and grab it.
Mendy, the Chelsea goalkeeper, arguably the best in the Premier League, looks to whip a ball high out to the left wing back position. Alonso heads it infield, and now it's knocked forward by Jorginho. Deflection nearly takes it into the path of Werner, but credit David De Gea, who spotted the danger, was very quick off his line. The sweeper keeper quick to clear away.
Yeah, he's done well there, and he gets ridiculed all the time in this moment. People are not even giving him a pat on the back for what he's doing now, but he's done really well to read that. He saw the situation happening early. I was believing, as soon as that ball went back, I knew there was going to be, the next ball was going to go forward and Werner was going to be the one chasing it.
Telles has very nearly dribbled the ball out to play, hugging that far left touchline, but he kept it in. And Matic, with mud on his white shorts, sees it back to Bailly at the heart of the Manchester United back line. Now Wan-Bissaka plays a 1-2 with Sancho, right in front of Michael Carrick, the interim boss. It's given away though to Hudson-Odoi. Fleet-footed Hudson-Odoi gets it back from Werner. Might get it again via deflection off Fred. Fred stretches a long leg to win it back. Amazing intensity and energy to the game. And now Manchester United have it with Sancho. Good football from the visitors. And Telles, just as I say that, Paul Parker gives it away.
Well, Marcus Rashford stopped running. He made a run and he decided to stop, and he killed Telles there, because when that was at tempo, they made about 4 or 5 passes under pressure, and that was excellent, absolutely excellent, and they were progressive with those passes as well. And then it goes back to Telles, he knocks it forward to Marcus Rashford. I don't know what Marcus Rashford was thinking.
It's the best sequence of passes that Manchester United have put together so far. Chelsea dominating possession. They've had nearly 3/4 of it in these opening exchanges at Stamford Bridge. Just over 13 minutes played, and it's Chelsea 0, Manchester United 0 on Premier League Live. Here is Loftus-Cheek, middle of his own half, out to the near side, the left, and Rudiger, who scampers forward at great pace away from Sancho, and now Marcus Alonso in support, right by the corner flag, digs out a lovely cross. Wow. Nobody in blue there to meet it. You just wonder whether Romelu Lukaku, had he been on the field, might have made contact with that. Werner was nowhere to be seen. It's with Reece James, corner of the penalty area, lays it back 10 yards to Chalobah. and Chelsea happy to keep possession.
To be perfectly honest, I don't think Linford Christie would have been in the box. I mean, that was so quick, wasn't it, that attack?
And now James putting it down the right-hand side towards...
Maybe I should have gone for a more modern-day sprinter.
Usain Bolt.
Yeah, Usain Bolt. I should have gone with him, really.
Oh, I know Linford Christie.
Yeah, I know, but I'm sure there's people out there who haven't heard of him.
Chalobah, right-wing position for Chelsea, who are pinning Manchester United back into their own half of the field. It's a great watch, this, Paul. 0-0, 15th minute, but Chelsea have made a blistering start in terms of the pace of the game. Here is Loftus-Cheek, a tall, powerful presence in midfield. N'Golo Kante out injured for Chelsea today. Now Hudson-Odoi wearing gloves by the corner flag. He's missed the game's best chance, Hudson-Odoi, and the offside flag actually up against him, and a free kick to Manchester United.
Well, United at this moment in time, we have to say, given everything what Chelsea are throwing at them, and their ball retention, they're doing well to stay in the game at this moment in time. Everything about them has been a negative so far, in the way they've gone, the way this game's gone for them. The only positive, it's still 0-0. So there must be still that belief that they're in it, and they might be able to get something. They haven't had a decent attack of any note, really. When they have tried to close them down at the back, they've played through them. So really, what happens next now? That's the next bit. How far has Michael Carrick taken them since he's had them to know what, at this stage of the game, what they're going to do next?
What happens next is the key question, isn't it, for Manchester United, with Ralph Rangnick set to take charge as interim boss. We understand that he would stay on as a consultant for a couple of years as well at Old Trafford, a useful added incentive for Rangnick to take the job, so we hear, as Hudson-Odoi penalised for what the referee Anthony Taylor saw as a foul on Wan-Bissaka. I actually thought, if anything, it should have gone the other way.
It should have done, because his foot rolled over the ball. As he's made that challenge, Hudson-Odoi, Wan-Bissaka, and trying to get it back, has rolled his foot over the ball. That was never a foul in a million years. He has reacted to Michael Carrick. How can you give something when you haven't seen it?
Lindelof for Manchester United, back to De Gea. 0-0 the score. Premier League live from Stamford Bridge. And it's Eric Bailly in for the suspended Harry Maguire, who has the ball on the edge of his own penalty area. Back to Nemanja Matic. Maguire's last Premier League game was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's last in charge at Manchester United. The thrashing at Watford. United won one of their final 7 Premier League games under Solskjaer. Here's one for you, Paul. They'd be bottom if the season had started on September the 25th. They'd be bottom of the Premier League. That is astonishing when you consider Newcastle haven't won a game yet. And Norwich have picked up, though, unbeaten in 3. 2 wins in that space of time. So the relegation battle is looking interesting as well. Burnley, remember, didn't play today. Their game against Spurs was postponed. Elsewhere, Leicester beat Watford 4-2. Big win for Brentford. 1-0 at home to Everton. Pressure on Rafa Benitez increases, you have to say. And Manchester City 2-1 winners against West Ham. So City, at the start of the night, level on points with Chelsea at the top. Rudiger, back to Mendy, the goalkeeper. Bruno Fernandes putting the pressure on, but Mendy steers the ball comfortably wide to the far side, and Chalobah back to Mendy. Mendy clears first time, high up into the dark late afternoon sky. Miscued headed by Matic, and Marcos Alonso seizes upon it, drives into opposition territory, out to the near side with the angle pass to find Hudson-Odoi. He's got rid of his gloves, into the penalty area, pulls it back to Ziyech, who tried to hook it goalwards, left footed. You could see what he was trying to do, and we've seen Hakim Ziyech do that before. I remember a goal in the Champions League semi-final for Ajax against Spurs that was similar to that, Paul, but he just sent it over the bar.
Yeah, I was at that game when he done that as well, and it was a wonderful finish. He has got the talent without a shadow of a doubt, but I mean, that was just off the back of a poor header from Matic. He's trying to be too clever, his header, and what he's done, he just set Chelsea up on an attack.
Hakim Ziyech, you feel we're still to see the best of him in a Chelsea shirt, but he has been given opportunities by Thomas Tuchel.
That's the difference. Players need games, and Tuchel was giving players games. Ole Gunnar didn't give players games.
Alonso, left wing position for Chelsea. Back to Hudson-Odoi, white socks rolled up over his knees. One of those days, isn't it, Paul? And Jorginho wearing the gloves. Would you have worn gloves?
No, I'm not for Manchester United, because the boss would never have allowed it. I would have got away with it with Fulham and QPR. But we just didn't have them. If you wanted to wear gloves, you'd have to buy your own.
Yeah,
that's the
club wouldn't provide them.
No, not a chance.
Thiago Silva centre circle. Square to Rudiger. Chelsea again enjoying lots of possession inside the Manchester United half, although they have only created one real chance so far. Hudson-Odoi denied by De Gea in the opening minutes of the game. We are ticking into the 19-minute mark now. Ziyech, right wing position, back to Chalobah. Now Thiago Silva in the centre circle. Manchester United, everybody back behind the ball. It's a defensive setup as we've seen from United for some time. Alonso, left wing position, gets away from Wan-Bissaka, who, credit to him, snaps back at Alonso, steers the ball towards Bruno Fernandes by the corner flag, threads it forward towards Sancho, who was caught by Rudiger late. And that's a free kick to Manchester United, and Sancho has gone down and stayed down.
Yeah, he's not too bad, he's alright, to be perfectly honest. But Alonso gave up the opportunity just to cross that first time. The moment he gave up that opportunity, that allowed Wan-Bissaka to recover and then put himself in a position where the cross was never going to materialise. And that's the moment he checks back. Wan-Bissaka takes it off of his toes, and that's game over for Alonso, doing something active going forward with the ball at his feet. When you go on that side and you've got a yard of space against Wan-Bissaka, take the option early, because if you don't, his recovery is better than most in the Premier League as a right back.
Well, Alonso started the season very well, but he was really poor here in Chelsea's defeat to Manchester City, their only Premier League defeat of the season so far. Ben Chilwell came in, didn't look back, but of course Chilwell, with that suspected knee ligament problem, is going to have surgery. So Alonso back in the Chelsea side for some time, you would expect. Finds Thiago Silva. In his late 30s, Thiago Silva, remember, one of the oldest outfield players in the Premier League this season, but how outstanding he continues to be.
It's been an incredible free transfer, to be perfectly honest.
You talk about bargains in the Premier League, and he is one of them.
When you talk about for nothing, if you look at someone who's cost you money, you look at Jota.
Here is Bruno Fernandes out to the near side, and Sancho only 5 yards from the edge of the Chelsea box. Now Bruno Fernandes goes for goal, and the shot is wide and wayward. And dare I say it, Paul Parker, and Manchester United, despite the applause from Michael Carrick, they lack a focal point up front so far.
Oh, they certainly do. And Fernandes got there. Fernandes is trying to be the focal point. He's trying to be the one who tries to close down, be the first player who starts to move. But that ball should have gone wide right. Wan-Bissaka was on the right hand side. Don't know if he would have had the opportunity to deliver that across the box. He's had a shot and he's pulled it to the keeper's right hand side. Poor decision in the end.
Penny for the thoughts. Donny van der Beek, I wonder, today as well. He started at Villarreal in the Champions League, again on the bench in the Premier League. McTominay in possession for Manchester United, lip of the centre circle, back to Bailly. And Paul Parker, what are you seeing out on the field of play?
I'm just seeing too many players behind, sitting too deep. They're sitting there saying, I don't want to go too far forward, so I'm going to have to run back. So when they do go forward, they haven't got enough players around.
It's a lovely dummy from Ziyech to set up James on the far side. The Chelsea right, he swings in the cross. Alonso coming in far post, and it did actually reach him. Maybe off the slightest of glances from Wan-Bissaka. I don't think Alonso was expecting it to bounce at his feet. The ball ricocheted off his shins. It goes behind, and we're midway through the first half, and it's still Chelsea 0, Manchester United 0.
I just think if Alonso goes there with a purpose to attack that ball, he would have been able to get something. Wan-Bissaka made an absolute mess of the whole thing there with his clearance, and he's just fortunate that Alonso couldn't adapt, couldn't go and retrieve the ball.
Please do let us know where you're listening from at Talk Sport Live on Twitter. Your predictions, thoughts as the game continues. I know we've got listeners all over the world. It's always great to hear where you are listening to us from. Aaron, Eric and Mamba the dog listening to us in the car, it looks like. As Sané says, Manchester United will allow Chelsea to enjoy large shares of possession. That's what we're seeing. But he says United will end up at least winning or drawing the match. Hello to Henry, who's enjoying the commentary in Ghana. Thanks for getting in touch. Henry backing Chelsea to win by 3 clear goals.
Yeah, well, it's important that United, if they're going to get anything from this game, they have to score the first goal, in my opinion. If Chelsea go in front, then United have got to change their game plan, and that could be a big concern for everyone around, so I don't know what they're going to go to next.
Fred on the halfway line, back to Victor Lindelof, midway inside opposition territory, drives the ball forward up towards Rashford. It's a poor header away by Thiago Silva, straight to Bruno Fernandes, but then Thiago Silva is there to stop him in his tracks. And Jorginho, the stand-in Chelsea captain, finds Loftus-Cheek on the halfway line, couple of step overs, then he ships it left to Hudson-Odoi. Hudson-Odoi straight on the offensive, trying to attack the corner of the penalty area. Back to Loftus-Cheek, square to Jorginho, passes underhit, Bruno Fernandes intercepted in front of James, and then Jorginho is in straight to win it back. Matic gets in front of James. It's a scrappy passage of play, neither side able to hold on to possession. It's still 0-0. Loftus-Cheek up to the edge of the D, red shirts all around him, goes wide to Hudson-Odoi, who dinks in the delivery. A great ball in, Werner looping header over the top. I just wonder, had he left it for Ziyech, whether the Moroccan would have had a better chance of making better contact and having a better effort at goal.
I think it would have been that way, to be honest, Joe. He was coming in. I don't know how good it would have been, but he would have been in a better position and set better to at least try and get something towards goal, because Timo Werner, the ball was always too high for him. He's just got a touch for the sake of getting the touch.
Thomas Tuchel sitting back down in his technical area, the man who played under Ralf Rangnick in their time at Ulm in the German lower divisions in the mid-90s. Ralf Rangnick, who has such a varied CV, an impressive CV and a varied CV. Of course, he's worked as a head coach, a director of football, and a head of sports development as well. And he's the man who is imminently about to be confirmed as the Manchester United interim boss. We assume on a contract until the end of this season.
So in theory, he's not really a manager as such. He's more like a mentor manager, isn't he?
A technical director. Ziyech motoring towards the corner of the penalty area, running straight into Telles, but James takes it up, whips in a great delivery right across the face of goal. Maybe a little too close to the goal. Nobody in blue really had a chance of reaching that. It's been nearly, but not quite, for Chelsea so far, 0-0.
I think if you've got a goal-hungry, goal-poaching centre-forward, I think he might have just taken a punt and run in there on that one, knowing and believing what Reece James is going to do when he gets there. He's going to go the other side of the man. He's always looking to get behind, which is the focal point of what you want to do. You want to get behind teams and cross from behind, so defenders are almost facing their own goal. So that's when you turn round and you just make a run, because you're not going to see the ball because it's in behind. That's where you got to gamble, and then to stick out a foot, and just any kind of touch could go in.
Lindelof bringing the ball out of defence for Manchester United, but a forward pass is poor, intercepted by Alonso, and Sancho looked really isolated upfield for Manchester United, who with this effectively a false nine in Bruno Fernandes continue to lack presence upfield. Remember, Cristiano Ronaldo on the bench and watches as the game goes on. I wonder whether that might be a work rate decision from Michael Carrick, as Werner tears forward. Good sliding tackle from Matic to dispossess him. Werner went down, but the referee rightly says that Matic got to the ball. Then it's a cushion header away from Bailly to McTominay, whose pass is risky. Telles was caught by the stretch of James. The Chelsea fans, you can hear, are furious with the referee, and I think there was contact. I'm not sure how much there was. We'll have a look at the replay on our monitor. I mean, there wasn't much.
There wasn't. He's caught him in the back, just as he's caught him in the back. Two people hitting each other, and he's gone down holding his ankle, and you kind of think to yourself, pain travels, but Christ, it not travel quick. It's just, that's why Reece James is laughing, to be honest, really, and that's why the fans are booing. They know there's nothing wrong with him.
Telles is okay to carry on. Kwame is listening to us live from Ghana, says Manchester United might just surprise everybody today. I mean, Chelsea have been the dominant side, but with 27.5 minutes played, you'd have to say Michael Carrick will be the happier of the two bosses, Paul.
Yeah, without a doubt at this moment in time. That initial storm, they've quelled that initial storm, and they seem a little bit more organised in what they're trying to do. Obviously not a lot going forward, to be perfectly honest.
Lindelof edge of the penalty area, back to De Gea, who slices the clearance high upfield. The header from Marcus Alonso from just inside the United half. Then Hudson-Odoi tackled by Wan-Bissaka. Thomas Tuchel applauds as Chelsea try to get themselves moving again.
And I think if you're looking at as well, the two least effective players at the moment are Sancho and Rashford.
Yeah.
They're the two least effective players for Manchester United.
Rashford has hardly had a kick.
He hasn't been. I don't think he's been. You could count the amount of touches with one hand.
Hasn't been on the ball at all. And Michael Carrick certainly looks the part. A red club tie and a blazer on. The Manchester United crest on it. And of course he does have a fantastic pedigree as a Manchester United player and of course a coach in recent seasons. Ziyech comes away from a little scramble on the near side of the field and finds Rudiger with the pass, and Rudiger's clattered into by Matic, and ironic cheers from the Chelsea fans as they get a free kick on halfway.
I don't think that was a free kick to Rudiger knew exactly what he's doing. He just got his body across. The referee should have allowed that to go on. That was 6-1 dozen the other. That was just, someone's gone down. The one who gets that quickest, I'll give the free kick to them, and that's exactly what happened now.
Also near side the Chelsea left, sets up Hudson-Odoi. Very quick in the tackle is Scott McTominay. Chelsea 0, Manchester United 0. Just under half an hour played. Remember Chelsea with a poor record really recently against Manchester United. They failed to win in the last 7 Premier League games, haven't scored in the last 4 in the league. Chalobah, who's got that bandage on his left wrist, finding Thiago Silva. Thiago Silva gets it back from Rudiger now. The Brazilian defender plays a 1-2 with Loftus-Cheek. Rudiger gets the ball passed to him just the left of the 3 of the centre halves. Now Chalobah on the right of the far side finds James further forward. Now Ziyech takes over, all left foot. Infield it goes to Jorginho. 35 yards from goal, strokes it square to Rudiger. Rudiger 5 yards to the edge of the penalty area. Chelsea having to be patient here as they seek the opening goal. Hudson-Odoi thinks about going on the outside, then cuts back in onto his right foot, sets up Rudiger, will go for goal, right footed, hits the crossbar, comes back towards James in the penalty area, and I think the offside flag is up. Antonio Rudiger with a thunderous effort from distance, and it clattered the bar.
It certainly did, and I think a lot of the noise was from David De Gea as well, because I think the way he's gone down, look like he's holding his arm there. He bashes himself against the post. That's what happened there. But that crashed against that crossbar. And I'll tell you what, he's got across there well, David De Gea. He was underneath it. But I don't know, it could have gone through because there was a bit of a gap between the glove and the bar. But that went with so much power off his instep as well. And never allowed him to shoot. They need to get closer. And Chelsea have been trying to be maybe too intricate. And that time, Rudiger's just decided, I'm just going to have a go here. And he had a go, coming in off his left-hand side, off his instep.
It was nothing, it was a bolt from the blue.
Yeah.
From Antonio Rudiger. We'll get to a couple more of your tweets in a moment. Here is Loftus-Cheek charging forward away from 3 in red. Then he runs into McTominay. Rare touch for Rashford with the lime green boots on it. Now Bruno Fernandes tackled by Thiago Silva, sliding in to win it back. Imperious so far. Chelsea on the counter. There are gaps at the back for Manchester United. Werner edge of the box, shoots, and it takes a deflection off Lindelof sliding in, and it goes behind for Chelsea's third corner. It's 0-0.
Yeah, they're just over elaborating up front, Manchester United. The ball's going into them, and they've got to expect the way they play on the front foot, Chelsea, when they defend. Every time it goes into a front player, someone's nipping around. Thiago Silva nips round the side of Fernandes, takes it off his toe. Instead of Fernandes saying, OK, win it back, he goes down on the floor hoping to get a foul.
Well, we've had the big match atmosphere. Are Chelsea going to take the lead as the corner's whipped in by Alonso, headed away well by McTominay. Rising highest on the edge of the 6-yard box, tall and powerful McTominay with a good header clear. It's come back to Ziyech on the halfway line. Out to the right of Chalobah. They should really been in opposite positions. Yeah. Here is Ziyech collecting a return ball though from Werner, reaches the dead ball line, cross floated high to the far post, evades everybody, comes out to the left, and Hudson-Odoi. Chelsea still very much on the attack. Hudson-Odoi at the angle, into the area, shot is blocked at the near post by Lindelof, and you do feel here, Paul Parker, that Chelsea are getting closer and closer to the opening goal.
Yeah, well, they've just been a little bit more positive. Now we're seeing Hudson-Odoi actually pinning down Wan-Bissaka and saying, I think I can beat him, where before, a little bit tentative, maybe I'm not going to do it. Now he's saying I can do it. That's why he ends up getting the crossings.
Alonso left-footed out swinging corner at the shed end, high over the head of Loftus-Cheek, comes out to Ziyech edge of the area, turns the ball wide to Werner. Werner crosses! Oh, and it's steered away up into the air bravely in the end by Lindelof for Manchester United, and then hacked further clear to the halfway line. James gets the loose ball, but the pressure is relentless from Chelsea now. It feels like attack v defence.
It certainly is, and the thing about it, United are not even coming out now. They've just all stayed in there. The ball's gone back to the halfway line, and still United are defending from their defending third. They could have pushed up another 5-10 yards. They don't want to do it now because they don't want the big run going back towards their own goal.
It is still 0-0, and we have to credit Michael Carrick, 34 minutes into the game, the first Englishman, by the way, to manage a Manchester United league game since Ron Atkinson in 86. That's a poor clearance by Mendy, thrown to Manchester United right wing position. Of course, the first goal, if there is to be one, would completely change the complexion of it if Chelsea were to get it. But if Manchester United were to get it, they would have something, really would have something to hang on to.
They certainly would do, and that's the problem. I don't think you can only hang on for so long to keep allowing teams to attack and get in your box or throw the ball in the box. Somewhere along the line, something's going to give.
Here's Bruno Fernandes on the halfway line, pokes it infield, a clever ball to Bay, centre circle. Chelsea have had 70% of possession so far, but the most important stat, as we've said, remains goalless. That's a risky back pass from Bay, but De Gea out to the edge of his penalty area, the goalkeeper to clear. Then Rashford gives it away, but James sees it fly off his instep and out to play for a throw to Manchester United in their left back spot. To your tweets, of course, happy Thanksgiving to our listeners across the United States this week, and Kevin and the family are heading home in the car in the Mojave Desert as Manchester United give it away. Hudson-Odoi races into the box, shoots, and De Gea goes down to make a simple save.
Yeah, that was in the end by Hudson-Odoi. That was quite poor. Did he have other options? I think he did. Werner's made a run inside, doesn't use him the first time, doesn't use him the second time. He takes the ball into traffic and doesn't get anything from it. No power and slightly deflected. But what was Bruno Fernandes thinking with that pass from the touchline in front of his own box?
Chelsea's press relentless on Manchester United, who have managed to win themselves a throw further up the field. Hello to Kevin and family heading home from Thanksgiving from the Mojave Desert. It looks a lot warmer there than it does here. That's for sure. No need for us to wear our sunglasses. Hello to Paul in Tampa, where it is sunny and warm. And Barzilla has tweeted us, listening to us on City FM in Accra. He says, we don't believe in impossibility. Look what happened in Paris. I think that he's a Manchester United fan. And of course, you never know, and it is still 0-0. Chelsea were the firm favourites. I think certainly when we saw the team sheet. I wonder how long though before we do see Cristiano Ronaldo, regardless of the scoreline at the break, Paul Parker.
Well, the problem is, if you do bring him on, you're not going to get the work rate of them closing down as they are. Fernandes is leading it by example at this moment in time. I don't think Ronaldo can do it. And then if they do win the ball, not even high up, there's too big a gap for Ronaldo to run into. Fernandes can make up that space a lot quicker. So that might be one of the reasons why he's not playing him as well. And if it is 0-0 when they're a little bit in control, why do you want to go and make that change? Because that's an attacking change.
Good pressure from Hudson-Odoi on Fred. He did nudge him in the back there, and Fred goes to ground. Free kick given by Anthony Taylor. Elsewhere in the Premier League today, 0-0 here with 8 minutes in the first half to go plus stoppage time. Brentford 1, Everton 0, Leicester 4, Watford 2, Manchester City 2, West Ham 1, and Burnley against Spurs was postponed. We have had stormy weather and snow in the north of England today, so Burnley Spurs called off. But Sean Dyche, there's a brilliant photo going around on social media, Paul, of Sean Dyche going out in the snow without his jacket on, just his shirt and tie.
He's learnt about life up north.
He doesn't feel the cold.
He doesn't feel it now.
The cold feels Sean Dyche. Yeah. That was what somebody said. Here is Wan-Bissaka, right wing position, coming in field for Manchester United. They've not tested Mendy at all yet, and Chelsea win it back. Here's Ziyech, lovely ball, reverse ball to find Hudson-Odoi, left wing position. Ziyech was actually caught as he played it forward. Anthony Taylor spot on, gives the free kick. Well, if you are a Manchester United fan away to the left in the shed end, you'd be satisfied with the scoreline, certainly so far, but it does feel as though Chelsea they're surely going to carve out more opportunities, as long as they move the ball quickly, of course.
Yeah, that's every time they've got their bit of joy when it does move quickly, because they slow it down. It allows United just to get themselves lined up. And
a little flick from Loftus-Cheek, a little Cruyff flick to find Rudiger, and now Hudson-Odoi 7 yards from the corner of the 18-yard box, gets it back from Alonso, who's hugging this near side left touchline all the time. Back to Antonio Rudiger, thinks about going for goal again. Is crossed into the box, is chested away by Eric Bailly for Manchester United, but then a loose pass, and Fred might be in trouble here. Chalobah wins it back for Chelsea. Ziyech into the penalty area, steers it in low. Nobody with that instinct to get to it. Comes out to James, who shoots. James curls it wide, but it was great work from Hakim Ziyech, Paul Parker. But nobody in blue has stolen towards the near post to get the touch that would have put Chelsea in front.
Well, the thing about it, Fred gets an awful ball back to him from Marcus Rashford, disgraceful ball, and he's not aware he's got one man either side, and he ends up losing it, and Ziyech gets it and he puts it from the byline across. No one's gambled. No one has gambled. They've just waited and waited. You have to gamble. You just have to make a run or something. And there's been, 3-4 balls gone across there, Joe, and not one player has made that move across, tried to get across the line. They just stood back waiting for it to come to their feet. They will not go and attack the ball.
Hello to Lee Ricketts, who is on a long car journey today, driving from Florida to Pennsylvania. Let's go Pulisic, says Lee. Well, the US men's national team star on the bench for Chelsea today. He did start the Champions League win here against Juventus in midweek, where Chelsea were in blistering attacking form, putting 4 past Juve, albeit this is not a vintage Juve side, I think you'd have to add as well. And forward by Ziyech towards Werner. We've spoken about Rashford hardly having a kick. Werner, much the same, Paul, you have to say.
But he's not showing the instinct to score goals. There's been 3 balls rolled across. He's never once run beyond the ball, which you think is okay, you're showing something, but he's not doing anything at the moment. And maybe Pulisic, maybe that's the change. That's the area where if they're going to change anything, it has to be there, without a doubt.
Great noise from both sets of fans, and here's a chance for Sancho, chesting it down, trying to race through the middle. Poor control, and the ball just flew through off his chest to Mendy, the Chelsea goalkeeper.
Yeah, and after seeing Rudiger having a right go at Alonso there, so I think he was a little bit laboured in coming up, and that's how Sancho managed to get in.
Sancho has scored his first Manchester United goal in the win over Villarreal in midweek, and big Jadon Sancho fan Daniel from Ghana listening to us at TalkSport Live. If you want to get in touch, he says, all I want to hear after the match is, against the run of play, United won it. Well, it would be against the run of play if they were to score here, for sure, but it's still 0-0 in the 42nd minute, so things to think about for both bosses, interim manager Michael Carrick and of course the Chelsea head coach Thomas Tuchel. Chalobah finding Ziyech, dropping deep into his own half. And seen a lot of the ball, Ziyech, and actually has carved out a couple of decent opportunities for Chelsea. Rudiger, again striding forward into opposition territory confidently, finds Alonso in field. Back to the stand-in skipper, Jorginho, and just turning away on the halfway line. That's the near side of the field, and Alonso back now to Thiago Silva, half the Chelsea defence. Forward to Jorginho, who is fouled. Free kick given. McTominay shoving him to the ground. A couple of words exchanged between McTominay and Rudiger. And the referee just going to put an end to that.
Yeah, I don't know what Scott McTominay's doing. He's saying that he dived there, by the way, Jorginho. Jorginho couldn't do anything but fall over because Scott McTominay virtually was asking for a piggyback.
It was indeed. A bit of a height mismatch between the two of them as well.
That doesn't help if he's stooping over you as well.
Lovely ball cross field by Jorginho, well controlled by James, and Ziyech spins away neatly from Alex Tellez, right wing position for Chelsea, finds James down by the corner flag, surrounded by 2 in red. One of them is Eric Bailly. James keeps it in play but loses out, and then he wins it back off Tellez. How did he win it back there, James? In the end, Ziyech is dispossessed. Sheer weight of numbers helping Manchester United. Alex Tellez just clears with the outside of his boot towards the midway point of his own half, and now forward by Matic, rattled into the feet of Sancho, threads it down the left towards Rashford. Flag has stayed down. Rashford keeps possession. Manchester United looking for the opening goal. Rashford onto his right foot. Square to Fred in the penalty area. Oh, he played it through the legs of Rudiger, and then he did throw himself to ground rather theatrically, you have to say, and Rudiger is furious. You can understand the German's reaction because Fred, there was no contact really whatsoever, or was there, Paul Parker?
No, there was no contact at all. Rudiger's just watched the ball go through, and Fred has thrown himself to the floor, which a few players mostly would do at given time. I just think somewhere along the line, if you know someone's died, you have to start giving them yellow cards now. It's gone too far now, and it's causing problems now with defenders going back and having a go and trying to pick people up. It's causing conflict because referees won't deal with it. Too scared.
It was cynical from Fred. Minute to go of the first half. Chelsea 0, Manchester United 0. 1 or 2 Chelsea fans heading for the concourse areas ahead of the half-time whistle. Jorginho looks for Alonso with the ball down the left. He's tripped. Heels clipped by McTominay. Free kick to Chelsea. Was there an elbow in there, Paul Parker, maybe? McTominay's going to get a yellow card.
I think it was a pull or something that he's done.
Well, we'll see it again on our monitors just now. We've got monitors in the commentary box. What do you make of it, Paul?
Yeah,
it's a drag back.
It's a drag back on his shoulder. Needless, by the way, as well, because I think even Scott McTominay can beat Alonso to the ball, or even just run him in there and just close off the play, but he's given away a cheap free kick by trying to be too clever.
Scott McTominay is a frustrated figure at times in this first half.
Maybe he's a little bit embarrassed by what he's gone and done, because it was silly, it was needless. It's running towards a corner flag.
Hi to Charles and Niobe, who are listening from sunny Puerto Escondido. Hope I pronounced that right, in Mexico. Come on Chelsea, says Charles. And Nana, also a Chelsea fan, listening to us in Ghana via City FM. Michael Carrick watching on nervously into first half stoppage time. Chelsea 0, Manchester United 0. Chelsea fans on their feet. James hoists in the free kick, and it very nearly bounced in, and De Gea couldn't take any chances. It might have been going wide, but he had to stretch out his top hand and touch it behind for a corner.
Well, Scott McTominay was there, and he took his head away from it. Scott McTominay, by the way, he was adamant it was going wide, but I'll tell you what, that was far too close for comfort.
And Marcus Alonso will take this corner right in front of the Chelsea fans on the far side. Left-footed in-swinger. Up goes Chalobah with a looping header onto the roof of the net, and that's the half-time whistle. A fascinating first half at Stamford Bridge, but it is goalless. Manchester United holding Chelsea, at least for now. The home side have dominated possession, had the best 2 chances. Callum Hudson-Odoi denied by David De Gea in the opening minutes when he really should have scored, and Antonio Rudiger thumping the bar from rage. Manchester United yet to have an effort on target at the break. Chelsea 0, Manchester United 0. You are listening to Premier League Live.
Crammed full of the latest team news, big match previews, and discussing the day's hottest topics.
Been improving week in, week out.
Plus, get all the latest results and full fan reaction to the biggest events in world sport.
It's a wonderful goal!
Satisfy your thirst for sports news with the Talk Sport hit. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Talk Sport. 20 years old and still not able to make a cup of tea.
That's a great starting point, I think. Excuse me.
With bitter experience comes great responsibility.
Let's go to Cumbria and Fraser. Fraser, good morning. Hello. Fraser, get out of that lane.
The nation's first and best commercial sports radio station.
Live, lubricated and legendary.
20 years of Talk Sport.
Previously on White and Jordan.
This is rewarding mediocrity. No. It's not. It's the exact opposite.
2 towering giants of sports media.
He's got COVID-19. He's got Newcastle wanting to sue him. He's got broadcasters pulling money out of deals left, right and centre. You wouldn't want to fly with this guy, would you?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Double trouble, daily drama and searing debate.
Continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
20 years of Talk Sport.
Gentlemen, good evening.
There's no such thing as an overnight success.
Accrington Stanley 4, titanium plasmatronic death droids from the future 0.
Excess.
I wasn't getting up, I was just getting in.
Excitement.
Excuse me,
and extremely strong opinions.
I spend my life covering the big game at the big level.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker. 20 years of Talk Sport. Previously on White and Jordan.
If you haven't bought, owned, managed, sold a player, managed a football club, sat in a boardroom, sat in a dressing room, what exactly do you know?
100% engagement.
The Football League is a league which is a busted flush.
You're obsessed with that subject, you do know that.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. High Octane Radio continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
The Women's Football Weekly Podcast.
With Faye Carruthers. All the action, excitement and drama from across the entire women's game.
Cleared off the line by Steph Horton.
Including the Women's Super League.
Ellen White is there to tap it in.
The UEFA Women's Champions League.
Lana Cleland striking from outside the penalty area.
And the Euro 2021 qualifiers.
On the edge of the area to Emsley. And Emsley's going to finish it off.
Plus, all the home nations international friendlies.
Lucy Bronze with the strike from the edge of the penalty area.
World-beating big match conversation.
There's Jodie Taylor.
Subscribe now to the Women's Football Weekly Podcast on Acast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks for listening to us on Premier League Live. Chelsea 0, Manchester United 0 at the break in our late afternoon commentary match, the final match of the weekend here on Premier League Live. Second half commentary to come for you very shortly. First, though, we'll look back on one of the matches of the day so far. Brentford ending a 5-match wait for a Premier League win with a home win over Everton, who have now gone 7 games without victory. Let's hear from their manager, Rafael Benitez.
I'm disappointed because we cannot win, and the games that maybe we deserve something more, we didn't get that. But it's what you have to do now, is concentrate on the next one, try to be sure that the players focus, and then they continue working hard and trying to do things if it's possible, in a better way. And looking forward to get 3 points in the next game if it's possible.
Rafa Benitez trying to take the positives. Paul Parker, does he sound like a man under pressure, though?
I don't think so. I don't think you really get that from him. I like him for what he's done. I've got a lot of respect for him from what he went into at Chelsea. He went into a difficult place where he was
open hostility.
Yes, massively, and he won them over. To be fair, he won them over. He didn't react to it. The best way he reacted was by doing it on the football field, and his team doing well. And Chelsea won, I think, 2 trophies under him. I think Europa League and League Cup. So he done well for him in the end, through a difficult time for him. And then he's gone to Newcastle and done well there as well. So I think he's gone into another difficult place, and he's going to take him a while to get it right. Everton again are deemed a kind of sleeping giant who need reawakening.
Well, what are the big issues in terms of that Everton side? I mean, you look at the team today: Pickford, Coleman, Godfrey, Keane and Dean, Townsend, Doucouré, Allan and Gordon, Iwobi behind Salomon Rondon. I mean, this is not a... You spoke about it earlier, Paul. This is a squad that has been expensively assembled by managers that were in the position prior to Rafa Benitez's appointment. But you look at that starting 11 and you look at the bench as well. There are youngsters there. There are the likes of Cenk Tosun, who's been at the club for ages but has had injury problems. It's not a side to set the pulses racing.
No, it's not. And when I just looked at that 11 there, which started today, I must say there is no pace. Yeah. They've got no pace in the team. You look at them defensively. You look at Coleman. He's getting to near his time. Ben Godfrey, I don't think he's going to be a centre half unless he gets someone commanding next to him. So I don't think Michael Keane is one of them ones who's always going to make mistakes, always going to do something. I look at Townsend. Townsend has been their key player. Doucouré, no pace at all. No pace. Allan, no pace. Goes around, doesn't do a lot. Gordon, for me, he looks at a good player, local boy, and looks a really, really good player. Iwobi's just been you could make the name just says it really. Iwobi, doesn't it really? If you could turn around and say it's been an absolute nightmare, you'll turn around and say Iwobi. You use Iwobi as a slang for being a nightmare because he's been terrible.
35 million. Was it 35 million? I think.
Yeah.
34. It was a lot of money anyway. It was a lot, 40 million for Alex Iwobi.
Too much money. Arsenal have done great business.
And Salomon Rondon, again, with all due respect, he's a man that Rafa Benitez knows from their time at Newcastle, but his best days, you feel, are behind him. Whether Rafa feels under pressure or not, though, Paul, and despite everything that we have said, the Everton fans, Obviously, it was always going to be difficult given his Liverpool connections, but some of them are getting on his back now. And you look at the league table, 6 points clear of the drop zone. Whatever we think, do the board, if this run continues, do they act before Christmas? Maybe.
Well,
does he last the rest of 2021?
I think common sense says yes, he's got to, because you think, where do they go? Please don't let anybody wheel out Big Sam. Christ, Everton fans will not deal with that, by the way.
They've had that before.
I don't think they want it again, to be perfectly honest, because you just know everything's going to fall backwards in certain ways. It's going to take a while to go forward. So I think they're better off the devil they know, and know that at the end of the day he's got personal pride in himself to want to do well, and he will turn it around. But I think it might need a massive clear out, and they need to do something in January so he can get in players who he wants. Because I think the ones that he has brought in, maybe except for Rondon, have done okay. Gray's done well, hasn't he?
Yeah. And Townsend too.
Yeah.
Could get tougher though before it gets better for Everton. 7 without a win after defeat at Brentford today. Just to quickly remind you of the other scores, Leicester beat Watford by 4-2. Manchester City 2-1 winners over West Ham. West Ham clinging on to that spot in the top 4 on goal difference. City started the night level on points with City starting the late game, Chelsea against Manchester City, level on points with Chelsea. Of course, Chelsea, if they win, can go back to being 3 points clear at the top. They are being held though at the break by Manchester United on Premier League Live. At half time it is 0-0.
Hudson-Odoi hits the penalty area, clear on goal. Oh, and De Gea makes the save, but how has Callum Hudson-Odoi not put Chelsea in front? And arguably you have to say Manchester United's player of the season so far bails them out again.
Hudson-Odoi should have scored, but David De Gea, he's outstretched left leg, puts it round the other side for a corner.
Hudson-Odoi thinks about going on the outside, then cuts back in onto his right foot, sets up Rudiger, will go for goal, right footed, hits the crossbar, comes back towards James in the penalty area, and I think the offside flag is up. Antonio Rudiger with a thunderous effort from distance, and it clattered the bar.
It certainly did, and I think a lot of the noise was from David De Gea as well, because I think, because the way he's gone down, look like he's holding his arm there, he bashes himself against the post. That's what happened there, but that crashed against that crossbar.
So goalless at the break on Premier League Live. Chelsea against Manchester United at Stamford Bridge. The second half commentary coming up very shortly. You're listening to Premier League Live.
The decision.
Crammed full of the latest team news, big match previews, and discussing the day's hottest topics.
They're improving week in, week out.
Plus, get all the latest results and full fan reaction to the biggest events in world sport.
It's a wonderful goal!
Satisfy your thirst for sports news with the Talk Sport hit. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Talk Sport. 20 years old and still not able to make a cup of tea.
That's a great starting point, I think. Excuse me.
With bitter experience comes great responsibility.
Let's go to Cumbria and Fraser. Fraser, good morning. Hello. Fraser, get out of that league.
The nation's first and best commercial sports radio station.
Live, lubricated and legendary.
20 years of Talk Sport.
Previously on White and Jordan.
This is rewarding mediocrity. No. It's not. It's the exact opposite.
Two towering giants of sports media.
He's got COVID-19. He's got Newcastle wanting to sue him. He's got broadcasters pulling money out of deals left, right and centre. You wouldn't want to fly with this guy, would you?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Double trouble, daily drama and searing debate.
Continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
20 years of Talk Sport.
Gentlemen, good evening.
There's no such thing as an overnight success.
Accrington Stanley 4, titanium plasmatronic death droids from the future 0.
Excess.
I wasn't getting up, I was just getting in.
Excitement.
Excuse me,
and extremely strong opinions.
I spend my life covering the big game at the big level.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker. 20 years of Talk Sport.
Previously on White and Jordan.
If you haven't bought, owned, managed, sold a player, managed a football club, sat in a boardroom, sat in a dressing room, what exactly do you know?
100% engagement.
The Football League is a league which is a busted flush.
You're obsessed with that subject, you do know that.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. High Octane Radio continues weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
The Women's Football Weekly Podcast.
With Faye Carruthers. All the action, excitement and drama from across the entire women's game.
Cleared off the line by Steph Horton.
Including the Women's Super League.
Ellen White is there to tap it in.
The UEFA Women's Champions League.
Lana Cleland striking from outside the penalty area.
And the Euro 2021 qualifiers.
On the edge of the area to Emsley. And Emsley's going to finish it off.
Plus, all the home nations' international friendlies.
Lucy Bronze with the strike from the edge of the penalty area.
World-beating big match conversation.
There's Jodie Taylor.
Subscribe now to the Women's Football Weekly Podcast on Acast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. You are listening to TalkSport's coverage of Chelsea against Manchester United from Stamford Bridge. 0-0 at half-time. Second half underway shortly with myself, Joe Shannon, and the former Chelsea and Manchester United defender, Paul Parker. This is Premier League Live. Two sides heading back out onto the field ahead of the second 45. Any sign of any changes, though? Paul Parker. Saw Cristiano Ronaldo warming up, but it looks like he's going to remain on the bench.
I don't know. I'll tell you what, I counted, looked like 9 outfield players going out. I was 10, he's come out. I didn't think, just Ronaldo's out there warming up. It seems a bit strange for a sub to be out there warming up.
Well, that's going to be one of the big questions of the second half, hasn't it, for both bosses, in fairness, because Romelu Lukaku sits on the Chelsea bench, Ronaldo keeping it warm for Manchester United. How long before we see the two star men, or at least the two biggest names for either club?
Well, I'm looking at Chelsea and I'm thinking to myself, if they're going to change it up, I think more than anything they'll change it up with a Pulisic or maybe a Havertz, if they're going to do something there. I don't see a Lukaku coming on, because I think that just might make the job a little bit easier defensively, because he's very laboured in the way he moves around. While Ronaldo coming on, there seems that there's more, in my opinion, there's more chance of that happening than Lukaku, just for the fact of the desperation that maybe United might need a goal.
Well, Chelsea would go a point clear regardless of what happens, as in regardless of whether they get the victory or not. A draw would be enough to take them a point clear. They'd stay top even if they were to lose, well, as long as they didn't lose too badly, ahead of Manchester City. Manchester United, remember, starting the night 6 points off the top 4, with Ralf Rangnick waiting in the wings to take over, so we understand. The second half underway, and Chelsea playing from left to right in the second half in royal blue with white socks towards the Matthew Harding end, that two-tiered end where the most vocal home supporters are. Manchester United red shirts, white shorts, black socks, playing from right to left. Chelsea, Mendy in goal, Chalobah, Thiago Silva and Rudiger, James, Jorginho, Loftus-Cheek and Alonso, as the Ash and Hudson-Odoi behind Werner. Manchester United, De Gea the goalkeeper, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Bailly and Telles, Fred, McTominay and Matic in the middle, Sancho and Rashford either side of Bruno Fernandes up front. You are listening to Premier League Live at TalkSport Live on Twitter. Let us know where you're listening from. Let us know if you're a Man United, a Chelsea fan, a fan of any other club. Great to hear from you as always. Matic over the halfway line. In steps Rudiger to thunder the ball clear out of play into the front few rows of the West Stand for a Manchester United throw.
I just like the way Rudiger plays, by the way. He's not bothered about looking nice all the time. If it's there going to go, it goes off, and it doesn't go in the first row, it's going to go in the back row.
He's a defender who loves defending.
He does. There isn't many of them about. Every defender now is trying to be this Thiago Silva. You're born to that. You don't just suddenly become it, and Thiago Silva was born that way.
He does both, doesn't he, really?
He can do both, and even he will clear his lines if he has to. He won't mess about.
Also from the halfway line, back to Rudiger, and now Thiago Silva, long sleeve shirt and gloves on, the Brazilian. And Chelsea with Andreas Christensen and Cesar Azpilicueta, the club captain, on the bench tonight. A star-studded bench for Chelsea. Mix of Mount, Havertz and Sal and Pulisic and Alonso. And Manchester United, who have Van der Beek, Cristiano Ronaldo, Jesse Lingard, Mason Greenwood among their subs. Phil Jones on the Manchester United bench tonight. It's a name we haven't heard much of for a very long time. Fred has gone down. The referee, Anthony Taylor, belatedly stops the game.
I don't know how. Why is that? I don't know why he's left it so late. United wasn't even in possession for him to leave it late to see what happens next.
It's a leg injury. Darren Fletcher, who watches on from the Manchester United bench again tonight, the technical director who has been very vocal in recent times, Paul, and certainly was in the latter stages of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's reign. We saw it in the final Premier League game at Watford.
Well, I find it strange that a technical director is sitting on the bench.
Well, he's reportedly his role, his brief is not wholly clear. We've seen a lot of him giving instructions in recent matches. He clearly is having an influence. Here's Ziyech anyway for Chelsea. Finds Werner on the angle in the area. Right-footed shot. It's blocked by Lindelof. The ball spirals high up into the dark night sky, but only to the feet of Chalobah for Chelsea. Hacked down by the sliding Rashford. That's going to be a yellow card and a free kick for Chelsea in a very dangerous position. One or two flecks of snow, I think, coming down from the sky in West London. You can barely see them though. Rashford chopping down Chalobah, who was sent sprawling in a free kick to Chelsea. Paul Parker, corner of the 18-yard box, 0-0 early in the second half.
I don't know what Marcus Rashford's thinking now. I mean, it was something you expect from the can, wasn't it? A little bit of dancing there. How high his leg come off the floor before he chopped it down. It was nowhere near the ball, nowhere near the player, but the referee still booked him. Maybe, I don't know why, because wasn't anyone around, but it seemed it was needless, really. Chalobah wasn't going anywhere. Just keep running and run him away from goal. I mean, could it be deemed as laziness on Rashford's part? But he didn't really want to do the hard work.
Alonso and James standing over the ball. One or two Chelsea fans returning from the concourse areas to the Matthew Harding end, which is packed behind David De Gea's goal. 0-0. 4 minutes played in the second period. And it's James to dink it in right-footed, and it's headed up into the air bravely away from danger by Victor Lindelof. Comes out to the edge of the Manchester United box, and then Fernandes thumps it clear, high up into the air. Heavy touch by Jorginho, and Sancho is clear. Rashford to his left. Sancho goes on, and he scores his first Premier League goal for Manchester United. Smash and grab at Stamford Bridge. A horror mistake by Jorginho, and Sancho takes advantage. And what a story developing here. It's Chelsea 0, Manchester United 1.
That's absolutely incredible. Moving, talking about it, and you didn't believe it was going to happen. And when it happens, you don't believe it's going to happen like that. Of all people, Jorginho. But you think yourself, you know you're the last man. Take even more precaution and make sure you try and take the ball down, facing towards where the danger's coming from. And the moment he tries to be too clever and take it down, he knows that he gives up. He absolutely stops on the spot. He doesn't even try and run back. And it was just poor on his part, good on Sancho's part. He just took it to himself, and now he's getting a head of steam of confidence, and it was a wonderful finish in the end, wasn't it?
The captain with a dreadful mistake, but Michael Carrick celebrates, and Manchester United have stolen the lead here. Jadon Sancho.
That word, that is stolen.
The first Premier League goal, Paul, after the goal in the Champions League in midweek.
Yeah, but he's never going to get an easier goal than that all season or next season. Given to him on a plate to run through where he's run, he had to keep his head right as well, and he done that really well.
Oh, can you believe it? Chelsea find themselves behind.
It's just amazing. But look, thinking about that free kick there, and you think yourself, you're leaving back someone defensively, leaving Jorginho, but surely there'd be someone with in and around him, a defender. He was on his own. It's not as if they were chasing the game as well. That was the strangest thing, that he's on his own on the halfway line.
Chelsea's defence breached for just the 5th time this season in the Premier League. 1-0 to Manchester United, and this in a way is why we love the game, isn't it, Paul Parker? You get one side utterly dominant, and then the team that has been on the back foot pinches a goal out of nowhere 6.5 minutes into the second half.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, generally that would happen against, if it happened against Chelsea, you wouldn't expect a Man United to be pinching a goal. You'd expect a Burnley or Norwich, somebody like that who sat back and just defended and done it. Not a Manchester United where you expected them to at least be trying to match you.
Lindelof clears away for Manchester United, and the last touch of Chalobah, so United will get a throw in the left-back spot. Jadon Sancho kept his cool, having charged forward with Rashford to his left. I wondered whether he might play it square to Rashford. Jorginho, having lost the ball, lost his momentum and gave up the ghost completely, and then Sancho and Mendy trying his best, the Chelsea goalkeeper, to give him the eyes, but Sancho just stuck it past him.
He'd made his mind up. He was never giving that to Rashford.
Now Rashford over the halfway line, out to Bruno Fernandes. Chelsea 0, Manchester United 1. United win a free kick and a yellow card for Reece James. And all of a sudden, it's turning into a very frustrating early evening for the would-be champions, the still league leaders.
Certainly is. They're getting a little bit rattled at this moment in time. They need to regain their composure and get back to where they were. I think they'll make substitutions pretty soon now. He's got to change up a little bit. Loftus-Cheek hasn't been in the game enough. There's been a little bit there, but still maybe not enough.
Here is Rashford near side of the field, the left wing. And back in field to Fred, and Manchester United suddenly with a collective spring in their step now. And Lindelof steers it out wide to Wan-Bissaka, just inside Chelsea territory. What a sensational scoreline here. What a remarkable error it was from Jorginho as Lindelof looks long with the clearance, away by Antonio Rudiger. Poor, straight to Sancho, who goes cross-field to Rashford. Rashford 10 yards to the edge of the box. Sancho's made a good run in front of him. Rashford holds on to it, and spins and sets up Fred. The play slows down. Now Telles for Manchester United. Sancho in front of those away fans behind the goal. Telles crosses in dangerously, headed away by Alonso. Straight to Scott McTominay, who's got Wan-Bissaka to his right. McTominay back to Bruno Fernandes. Nudges it further wide to Wan-Bissaka again. And now Manchester United are dominating possession. 9 minutes into the second half, 1-0 they lead as Thiago Silva clears for Chelsea, who are rattled here, Paul Parker.
They are. They just need to get themselves back in check again and get hold of the ball. Just at the moment they're picking off mistakes, poor clearances at this moment. They're bypassing the Chelsea midfield now, trying not always to play through them, knowing that if they don't do it right, straight away Chelsea are on the counter.
Header from Lindelof towards Wan-Bissaka, deep inside the Chelsea half. It's picked up though by Marcos Alonso, and Jorginho this time with an accurate ball back to Mendy, the goalkeeper. Chelsea will stick to their principles, but can they find a cutting edge? Ziyech with his back to goal. Lovely reverse pass to Loftus-Cheek. There's space here. Loftus-Cheek played the early ball and it was headed behind by Lindelof, but Chelsea do get a corner.
Yeah, that was a poor decision there. He should have maybe gone a few yards just to see what Lindelof's going to do. It's 2 against 1. Werner's pulled away off the shoulder of Lindelof. He's got to take him a bit further just to see how long it is before Lindelof comes in closer. He doesn't do that, tries it early and puts it straight ahead of Lindelof, who puts it out for the corner.
Fifth corner of the game for Chelsea. 1-0 they trail. Alonso whips it in left-footed and it's come off Scott McTominay and then sliced up into the air by Rashford. Poor clearance, straight out of play for another corner straight away. Basil's listening to us from northern Uganda. Thanks for getting in touch at TalkSport Live on Twitter if you'd like to do so. Alonso with another deep delivery, punched away one-handed by De Gea. Comes out to Ziyech on the edge of the box, heavy touch, and are Chelsea about to concede from a counter again? It's 3 against 3. Rashford over the halfway line, beats Hudson-Odoi for pace, tries to whip the ball cross field, and it will fall for Sancho down by the corner flag. Bruno Fernandes in the middle, Fred with a chance to cross or go for goal left-footed, and it's right across the face of goal, and Rashford was far post. It was in that corridor of uncertainty between goalkeeper and defender, but it does go behind for a goal kick.
It certainly was in that area, but it's just that Marcus Rashford had just made a run and stood still, didn't make a second run. I think Fred was just pull it there, hoping that Marcus Rashford would have made another run, but he didn't do that.
Chelsea with a lot of work to do. Here is Hudson-Odoi threading it through for Werner. Very tight angle in the penalty area. Bailly came across. It's gone behind. Corner, says Anthony Taylor. It didn't look like it at first. It looked like Werner had nudged it beyond Bailly, who then shepherded him aside. But the referee thinks differently. In fairness, there were no complaints from Eric Bailly.
Well, I think he was there. He's shrugging his shoulders. I'd like to see it again. I'll just look in the reactions of people.
Rudiger and Thiago Silva both forward for Chelsea. Chalobah there as well. Alonso out swinging with the delivery. Thiago Silva's up there. Comes to Werner!
Oh, no,
who hits it wide on the half volley. It's a poor miss from Timo Werner.
It was a terrible miss. Zach's come back to him and he's facing in towards the corner flag and he's coming to his right side. His body's not straight in line with it. He's got to cut across the ball with his right foot and he ends up, I think, practically hitting off the laces and it nearly went back out towards the corner flag. He was looking to cut across it to go on the keeper's right hand side. Ends up virtually the ball going straight out for a goal kick. Poor finish.
Chelsea 0, Manchester United 1. 57 minutes played. Romelu Lukaku sits on the bench. Tony on Twitter at TalkSport Live. Tony and family listening to the game while driving home to San Antonio from Dallas. Says it's time for the number 10, Christian Pulisic, the US men's national team star. Headed from Alonso on halfway, straight to McTominay. Manchester United seeing much more of the ball in the second half. McTominay on the halfway line. It's been a much better performance from Manchester United.
Well, the goal has made a difference. That gift that Chelsea keep giving has happened, and straight away that's lifted them. It's got to do. If it doesn't lift them, if they went on a negative, that would have been poor. Since they've scored, they've been on the front foot. Chelsea haven't reacted, they haven't had time on the ball. United have put them under pressure. Absolutely perfect the way they've gone about it since they've scored.
That's the voice of Paul Parker, who played for both. Good turn by Rashford, dummy through the legs of Chalobah. Free kick given to Manchester United midway inside the Chelsea half, and United I think asking for a yellow card. Anthony Taylor is not going to oblige.
But I thought referees were told as well, if any player comes up,
then book them.
Yeah, you book them for ungentlemanly conduct.
Well, what a story developing here. I mean, there's still well over half an hour to go, but it's Manchester United in what is probably going to be Michael Carrick's last game in charge as interim boss, who lead at Chelsea. The one thing that you have to say, Paul, about United is Cristiano Ronaldo takes his jacket off, and I wonder whether he's about to start warming up here, Ronaldo. The one thing you have to say is that under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, they didn't have a plan. They've had a plan tonight and it's working. But here's Werner racing down the near side, the right for Chelsea. Two in the middle, sets up Ziyech, edge of the box, away from Fred, twists back onto his right, surrounded by red shirts. Ziyech eventually didn't know where the ball was. He lost track of it underneath his feet. It's cleared away, and suddenly it's Chelsea who desperately need a focal point, you have to say.
They need a change somewhere at this moment in time. I don't know who the right person is, the right person for the job. Only Tuchel knows that, but they do need to change it up a little bit.
And here is James, deep inside the Manchester United half, corner of the box, whips in a good ball, and it's steered up into the air by Lindelof, and it's a Chelsea corner again at the Matthew Harding end of the ground on this cold Sunday late afternoon in West London. Floodlights on up ahead, an hour gone, and Chelsea, despite dominating most of the game, trail. Loads of your tweets coming in, by the way. We'll get to some of those in a minute. Alonso in swinging corner, headed away out to the edge of the box. Ziyech smacks it goalwards, took a deflection, cleared away by Rashford, and then Fernandes scoops it upfield for Manchester United, who are looking to counter again. Rashford racing down the left. He initially beat Hudson-Odoi for pace, then had to check. Rashford still got it, edge of the box. He just ran into Hudson-Odoi.
Yeah, he does that a lot, to be perfectly honest. It's just as needed as he's Hudson-Odoi. That's when he's got to come out, check out and keep possession. That was great what the run he's made. Now then come out and keep possession like they're doing now. He's tried to go up again into another cul-de-sac. Fortunately enough for him, they get the ball back.
Cristiano Ronaldo stripped and ready to come on in Manchester United red. There's a foul on Bruno Fernandes. United free kick. Neil on Twitter at TalkSport Live is listening from British Columbia. Great commentary, says Neil. Thanks for getting in touch. Spike Nolan, horrendous mistake from Jorginho. Isaac's listening in Texas. Best part about it, says Isaac, is Paul Parker's old school mentality and how worked up he gets with all of these feigned injuries. And understandably so. Keep bringing the passion.
I've been sussed.
Cristiano Ronaldo, they're singing Viva Ronaldo in the away end to the left.
It's just important though, Joe, who comes off. I couldn't tell you. If you're going to take someone off,
Rashford?
It's got to be Rashford, in my opinion. Has to be him. Been very non-effective at all. He's just been non-effective.
We will see. Here is Hudson-Odoi turning into the penalty area, invited to shoot.
Too long.
Then he's held up by Bailly, steers it wide to the near side, and Ziyech. So many Manchester United players behind the ball. One of them is Matic. It's been a superb defensive rearguard from Manchester United so far. Sheer weight of numbers, and Chelsea have no way through as things stand. It's not easy, this. Crossfield ball from Rudiger, pinpoints onto the right boot of James. Infield to Loftus-Cheek. Loftus-Cheek 5 yards to the edge of the box. Pass is poor, intercepted by Telles. Then Loftus-Cheek stretches the leg to win it back. Have Chelsea got the guile to break down Manchester United? It's with Thiago Silva, scoops it high. Great control on the chest by James. Great cross in, turned away by Bailly. It's always a Manchester United shirt who's there to it first.
Well, I must say the two centre-half positioning has been absolutely fantastic so far in this game. Generally, you see United in central defence and there's mistakes, there's overplay, there's everything, but they've been clinical this evening in everything they've done. They're clearing their lines well as well.
Another corner whipped in by Alonso, deep with his left foot. Again, it's headed away, this time by Eric Bailly. Comes out to Hudson-Odoi, wide again to Alonso, right hand side, all left foot, deep cross in, high to the far post. Werner, is he going to get there? He's not going to get there. He didn't have the anticipation to get there. Thomas Tuchel he didn't shake his head, but he looked towards one of his assistants. Here's the change, Paul Parker. Ronaldo for Sancho.
Really? Well, again, I question some of these things, by the way. The lad has scored a goal. Everything he's done with the ball has been positive. Marcus Rashford hasn't done anything really right, to be perfectly honest. That's a strange one to me, to take him off.
Cristiano Ronaldo seeking his 800th goal for club and country. So Chelsea they dominated the first half, certainly, but Manchester United have got them rattled now. Jadon Sancho gets his first Premier League goal for the club. And Matic turning on the halfway line. The former Chelsea player won the title here, of course. Little flick from Bruno Fernandes behind Alonso to set up Wan-Bissaka. Alonso slides in to win it back. 64 minutes played. And Chelsea still yet to make a change. Ruth, a United fan, listening in the car with two Gooners as they drive through the desert from Palm Springs to Phoenix in the United States. Buckets Hopper is listening in Vermont. Peter's listening in Uganda. Desperate for Lukaku to come on the field. He's a Chelsea fan, is Peter. Poor ball out wide by Rudiger. Somehow kept in down by the corner flag from Alonso. Rudiger, he's jumped on there by McTominay.
He does it every time, doesn't he? He has got no patience at all. No patience.
On a yellow.
Yeah, it's a silly one, and he walks away with the ball in his hand as well. Silly, ridiculous challenge. Rudiger's going back towards the goal again. So why have you got to give a foul away?
Mukhtar's listening to us in Ghana. Henry says Alonso and Ziyech have to come off. Lukaku and Mount need to come on. Otis will be a happy man, he says, if Manchester United win the game. And Buckets Hopper has tweeted us to say, can you say thanks Kelly for driving? The world needs to know my appreciation, he says. Free kick Chelsea. James whips it in right-footed. Thiago Silva got his head to it. It's going to bounce wide. Ronaldo was up with him. The last touch was off the Manchester United man. Chelsea will get their 10th corner of the game. In fact, it was Victor Lindelof with a flying header clear. 25 minutes to go, plus stoppage time. Corner in front of the Matthew Harding end. Alonso from the near side again in swinging left-footed, and it takes another touch, this time off Bruno Fernandes. Are Chelsea going to be able to produce from this raft of seemingly endless set pieces? And Chelsea, of all the Premier League clubs this season, have the best record in terms of goal-scoring defenders.
But let me just say, at this moment in time, they have not had any joy at all from dead balls. A dead ball was cost them dearly as well, by the way.
They broke to score, did United. Alonso floats this one in high towards the edge of the 6-yard box. It's headed away once again by Manchester United. Loftus-Cheek went down, and the penalty is given. Anthony Taylor has given the spot kick. It was Loftus-Cheek who was fouled, and he's gone down and stayed down. And the penalty awarded by Anthony Taylor after a moment's hesitation. In fact, was it Thiago Silva who was fouled? It was.
Oh, he was, and he was kicked, wasn't he?
Thiago Silva kicked by Wan-Bissaka, a mistimed challenge. Didn't get to the ball. It has to be a penalty.
Yeah,
and
it has to be a penalty. I want to come out and say, why don't they be patient and wait for VAR to give a decision? I think they all know the decision. Wan-Bissaka, he knows what he's done wrong. You can just look at his eyes. You can see the remorse in him as well. He knows what he's done. Thiago Silva, I'm sorry, he wasn't throwing himself. His leg got kicked away.
Thiago Silva brought down by Wan-Bissaka. The Manchester United players continue to protest, but it won't change the decision. Even if the VAR were to look at it, it is absolutely a penalty kick. Thiago Silva still clutching his left ankle, and Chelsea with a chance here. What drama at Stamford Bridge to get themselves level. David De Gea, as we all know, does not have a good record when it comes to saving penalties, but of course he did save that spot kick from Mark Noble at West Ham United earlier this season.
And Watford.
And at Watford.
Yeah. So he's become
in the last Premier League game.
Yeah, he's gone from bad when everyone was persecuting him to the fact of maybe the one now there's more belief. But I tell you what, I'm watching him going back grimacing, by the way, Thiago Silva. I think he's got every right to be. And by the way, Jorginho's last penalty.
Well, he usually goes with the hop, skip and the jump.
But remember his last penalty?
It was woeful.
Yeah. But then, I mean, at the moment, he's put Italy in a lot of pressure, isn't it?
Because that certainly has.
Yes.
And it was his error for the Manchester United goal. But can he draw Chelsea level and give himself some payback? Hop, skip and a jump, and he scores! De Gea went the wrong way, and Chelsea are level with just over 20 minutes to go. No mistake from Jorginho, and it is 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, he's a brave man going to take it. Just go out there to do that, because he knows he needed to put that in the back of the neck, because otherwise it's never going to be forgotten, and he's taken it so well. It's him back to himself, and we're seeing a replay of the penalty again, and there can't be any argument. He's kicked through his calf, and the ball's pinged off the foot of Silva, but that was no need. You're saying that, you get caught up, you get embroiled in the atmosphere and everything, and Wan-Bissaka done exactly that.
Just over 20 minutes to go, Paul.
Yeah.
Wow. And so no clean sheet for David De Gea, no penalty stop. Jorginho makes up for his error for the goal. We are level. Here's Loftus-Cheek on halfway. Great ball out to the near side, and Ziyech all left foot, skips away from Wan-Bissaka, goes out to the near side, and James has got lots of time and space to play it in low, and Fred slides into clear, and the Chelsea fans on their feet behind the goal, and Jorginho's whipping up the supporters now, and it will be a 12th corner of the game for Chelsea.
Yeah, they just haven't done well. That's the first time they've got something back from a set piece. They got a penalty.
Here goes Marcos Alonso to take it. Left footed in, swinging right underneath the crossbar. Headed away by Ronaldo for Manchester United. Ziyech puts it back into the danger area. Hacked away by Bruno Fernandes, just as was the case for the Manchester United goal. But since Sancho went off, United have hardly had a kick. Hudson-Odoi, left wing position, drills it crossfield. A strange ball.
Needless pass as well, missing people out like that.
Cleared away by Tellez. And now here's Matic for Manchester United over the halfway line. Ronaldo just in front of him. Hudson-Odoi and Thiago Silva did enough to win it back, and now Hudson-Odoi feeds Werner away on the left wing for Chelsea, attacking Lindelof. He skips onto his right boot and tries to find Alonso, and Alonso was blocked off by McTominay. Jorginho gets there to it. Is he fouled by McTominay? Referee says no. McTominay says get up.
He's got to be careful. McTominay. He's been far too gobby. He's getting too involved, and he's got to put his emotions away and just concentrate on taking back what he's got already, and that's the point.
And you have to say, redemption for Jorginho, but Chelsea do deserve to be level.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. But football isn't generally that kind normally. You don't always get what you deserve.
It is 1-1 on Premier League Live. Game of the weekend, and it's not like drama.
No, it's not, normally the build-up normally kills it. This one has definitely gone beyond. Didn't need a lot of goals, did it?
A lot to talk about, and we've still got 18.5 minutes to go, and here's Werner, floated through to him by Ziyech. Werner, angled tight from the dead ball line, pulls it back towards the run of Marcos Alonso. He lays it off for Ruben Loftus-Cheek with a left-footed effort, well blocked by Wan-Bissaka. Now Hudson-Odoi, corner of the area, deep delivery, far post, back across goal by James, and Ziyech on the volley. slices it well wide. He was never likely to keep it down, and it was on his weaker side.
There we are. You got it all in there, by the way. I can't respond to that because you said everything, all the reasons why he wasn't going to score from that in the end. It's definitely lifted the tempo now. Chelsea have got into it, but they're still not cutting open this defence of Manchester United. And to be honest, every time Bailly's played, he's done himself justice. Every time he's played, and he's doing really well. The problem with Bailly is that you can't get anything consistent from him because he always wants to pull up with an injury. Always has an injury. Too many injuries at the wrong times.
No sign of a Chelsea change, but I think Jesse Lingard is being ready to come on for Manchester United. We'll find out in a moment. Loftus-Cheek seeing a lot of the ball. He's on the halfway line for Chelsea. Angled ball out to the near side, and James, who holds it up well off Fred and Alex Telles, and eventually loose ball ricochets off Michael Carrick, and it's a Chelsea throw right in the halfway line, right in front of the Manchester United interim manager. Well, Ralf Rangnick will be watching on and no doubt getting a taste for what is ahead as Bruno Fernandes catches James. And free kick again to Chelsea.
Telling Fernandes that's a foul, that is it. He can't be fouled, Fernandes, and when he gives a foul away, it's never a foul. The power of football,
Magical. 17 to go plus stoppage time.
I'm just trying to work out if he's going to bring on Lingard, he has to take off Rashford this time, because it was wrong taking off Sancho, because the ball's not sticking up front anymore. Nothing's materialising up front because Sancho's gone off.
Ronaldo, great ball through the legs of James, though, to find Fred charging forward away from Loftus-Cheek, who was trying to snap at his heels, back out wide to Ronaldo. Only Rashford in the middle for Manchester United, and it's Fred who crosses on his left side, and Thiago Silva, he clumsily steers it away. It is a corner to Manchester United.
Yeah, I just wondered, was Fred offside? It seemed like he'd go forward and come back. Chelsea seemed to suddenly hold their line a bit. The fans were going mad. It must have been marginal for Fred not to be coming back from an offside position.
The first corner of the game for Manchester United. Chelsea have had 13. Alex Telles will take it in front of the United fans. The left-footed out-swinger. And it's drifted in towards the edge of the 6-yard box, and it's cleared away, is it, by Chelsea? Hesitation before eventually Hudson-Odoi does just swing a boot at it to get it further clear. Still over a quarter of an hour to go. Jesse Lingard is getting some final instructions as he prepares to come on. And no sign of a change, as I say, for Chelsea. And Timo Werner for me, Paul. I mean, he might go on to prove me wrong, but not been up to it today.
No, he's been poor, very, very poor.
As McTominay gets in front of Ziyech, and a neat little flick by Matic to set up Ronaldo. Ball out to the right-hand side, and now here goes Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka up towards the edge of the 18-yard box. It took a deflection off Alonso as he tried to get to return pass of Bruno Fernandes, and then Rudiger hoists it clear. McTominay gets it back on the halfway line. Chelsea 1, Manchester United 1. And into the closing stages. Matic is still at the heart of the United midfield. Great ball for Ronaldo. Bruno Fernandes rather, but he couldn't thread it through to Ronaldo.
That was an easy pass for someone like him, and he's totally not kicked through it. He was underweighted. Ronaldo was on the shoulder, he was gone. A decent ball, and he's going 1-on-1 at goal.
It's Hudson-Odoi deep inside the United half. Further wide is Alonso. First time low ball in, away by Lindelof. Then a header from Bruno Fernandes back to McTominay. Poor clearance straight to Jorginho, who's been involved in both goals. It's 1-1. Jorginho's error for the United opener, but he scores the penalty to equalise. Jorginho again, edge of the area, straight to Fernandes. That's a dreadful ball. Bruno Fernandes, can he get beyond Thiago Silva? He can't, and he caught him late. And Bruno Fernandes is going to be yellow carded here. Just for a second looked like he might be in trouble. It was a very late lunge.
Yeah, it was just needless really in going for it. And to be fair to him, he's tried to slide. He hasn't gone in with his studs showing at all. He's just fancied it. Didn't work, it didn't materialise for him.
1-1, 14 plus stoppage time to go. Hi to Steve Goodman, who's listening to us during a long drive home to Maryland. Love the commentary, says Steve. He's listening via our friends at Sirius XMFC. Rashford does go off.
Yeah, I find that strange. He could have done one substitution and maybe get out of it what he's got already. Double substitution coming up for Chelsea by the looks of it.
Lingard on for Manchester United. And Christian Pulisic and Mason Mount.
So it's got Werner.
Hudson-Odoi, one of the players to go off. And the US men's national team star comes on, and it's Marcos Alonso who's leaving the field too.
Must be going to a three at the back then, I would have thought. No, they've got a three at the back. Maybe going to a four. I just wonder who's going to go in at left back.
I wonder whether would they stick Ziyech there?
Maybe just to play, yeah, maybe.
We'll see. Mount and Pulisic on. Alonso and Hudson-Odoi off. Chelsea 1, Manchester United 1. Loftus-Cheek, good turn away from Fred in the centre circle. Forward to Mount. First touch a bit heavy. And he's being held by Bailly. The referee says play on. Now it's with Pulisic. Red boots on, near side. Sets up Mount. The two subs combined. Pulisic, the Chelsea number 10, trying to provide some dynamism in attack. It's a sliding tackle, a block tackle from Eric Bailly. 12 minutes left.
The thing about it, this moment, United could score.
Absolutely.
That's the thing about it.
Could still go either way, but here's Pulisic driving in field from the right. Square to Ziyech, pokes it through towards Timo Werner! Oh, and the effort was going wide anyway. It was blocked by his own man, but it wouldn't have gone in. Now James shoots, and it bobbles wide. And Timo Werner, how on earth has that not gone in?
Well, I just thought to myself, he's there, he's got it, it's come out of his feet, it's there. And
it's a block by Wan-Bissaka.
Yes. Not doing him any justice there at all. Werner, he was unlucky in the end, because he comes across Wan-Bissaka. You call that great anticipation by Wan-Bissaka, sensed the danger and cut inside. Werner could have gone wide because Wan-Bissaka coming across had left Reece James on his own on the left-hand side.
I thought he'd skewed it and it had been blocked by his own man from the angle that we were watching. But in fact, credit to Wan-Bissaka. And apologies to Timo Werner.
So I'm just looking at the setup now. Reece James has gone to
left wing back.
Or left back as such. Yeah, they've gone to a 4. Then Silva's gone centre half, and Chalobah, he's gone to right back.
James pokes it back to Rudiger. Chelsea 1, Manchester United 1. We are in the 80th minute here at Stamford Bridge, and it's certainly not done yet. You feel that there is more to come. There are chances and maybe goals still to be had. Mason Mount, great control, corner of the penalty area on the far side, lays it in field to Hakim Ziyech, great dummy, right-footed effort straight into the gloves of De Gea.
Yeah, that was great play. It was that run as well. Mason Mount said he haven't done that all game. It was a great run from Mason Mount. Should have been picked off really by Lindelof, but he does well to hold it up, Mount. And Ziyech comes inside, steps inside on his right foot, and again it's just a lack of power off his right hand side. Straight into the arms.
Headed away by Chalobah. Cristiano Ronaldo hasn't had many touches since coming on. There's a touch there to find Bruno Fernandes, whose return ball is poor, straight out of play. Romelu Lukaku stripped and ready to come on for Chelsea. Is it too little too late? 10 minutes left. Can he affect the game, Paul Parker?
Well, they just have to get the ball in the box as often as possible, because that's what he's looking for. He's virtually just standing still and screaming for the ball.
Rudiger races over the halfway line for Chelsea, and he's still going. It's a blistering run from Rudiger. Eventually he's tackled. Loose ball comes to Ziyech, 25 yards out. High crossfield ball. Oh, brilliant control by Pulisic to bring that out of the air. Almost looked impossible. Now a left-footed delivery, headed away by McTominay. Somehow Chelsea's still on the attack, and it's Reece James who hammers it over the top. That was a majestic piece of control from Pulisic.
Oh, when he done that, I grabbed my hamstring, to be perfectly honest. That was incredible how he's done that. So just one of those
plucked it out of the air.
Just one of those players who can just do something incredible, just can improvise so well.
Well, it's the return of Romelu Lukaku, and he gets a big cheer, as you would expect. Injury that has halted, if you like, his run for Chelsea, having started reasonably well since arriving at the club. Back on the field, and no surprise that it is Timo Werner, who is the man who's gone off, the former Manchester United man, takes the field in a Chelsea shirt here. And the game is far from done yet at 1 apiece. There are 8 minutes to go. Here is Chalobah on the edge of his own box. It's a sloppy ball, gives it away to Fred. Cristiano Ronaldo waiting in the middle as Bruno Fernandes tries to dink in the cross. It's blocked though by Pulisic, striking back for Chelsea. And now Pulisic taking it up inside opposition territory. 1-1. 8 minutes left. Ziyech out to the left and James, who is all right foot. Ziyech in support on the overlap. Goes infield to Jorginho. Square to Loftus-Cheek. And now Chalobah joining the attack. Lukaku lurks in the middle. Pulisic back towards Chalobah. Exchange passes once again. Manchester United camped behind the ball. A bank of 6 and then a bank of 4 in front of them. Mount crosses from the right and it's cleared away, thundered up into the air by Bailly. Chelsea have corner number 14. And is there to be late drama, you wonder? Chelsea have sent Thiago Silva forward again. Rudiger and Chalobah there as well. Jorginho at the near post. Lukaku edge of the 6-yard box. Ziyech left-footed in, swinging delivery. And it was headed over by Loftus-Cheek.
Yeah, he should have done better there. I think it looks like he comes in, makes a run on his own, steps away, and he doesn't
shoulder?
head it. Shoulder it looked like, didn't it? Anything with his head and he's there, and
spot up off his shoulder.
Yeah, should have been on his head.
Well, we spoke about it, Paul Parker, Ralph Rangnick watching on. What can he surmise from what he's seen? I don't think we'll see his team set up in quite the same way as Manchester United have today, but they might get a point out of it or more.
Well, I think you'll see that some players have got a work ethic. It's all well and good a work ethic in one game. Generally, work ethic should be over a duration of a season.
Should be the minimum, shouldn't it?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. Should be the first thing written down. He works hard. There isn't enough of them who want to do it week in, week out. All well and good doing it in a big game like this against Chelsea. It's the game after that matters just as much.
Chelsea have scored more goals in the last 10 minutes than any other side in the Premier League so far this season. 1-1 the score with 5.5 to go. Jorginho strokes it wide, crossfield, right to left to find James. Left-hand edge of the penalty area. Right-footed cross, just over the head of Lukaku. A little too much on it. Bounces behind, goal kick.
Well, is there anything that man cannot do? He's gone to the left side, and I think myself, he's going to go on the outside of his left foot, but he steps inside and he just strokes it across so easily. It was just so nonchalant the way that ball went in. And I tell you what, Lukaku was miles away from it, to be perfectly honest. Mount was at the far post, but it's 2-3 yards behind. That was an incredible ball. He does not get the accolades that he deserves, to be perfectly honest.
Well, maybe he's starting to get them.
Yep.
Recognition that this man could be a Chelsea legend. Forward by Chalobah, and it's a miscue in the Manchester United back line. Lukaku midway inside opposition territory, wide to James, edge of the area. Manchester United have funneled defenders back behind the ball and they win it back through Bruno Fernandes. Now can Wan-Bissaka break towards the halfway line. He gets beyond Reece James and he's reached halfway, but he gives it straight to Jorginho. Jorginho prods it down the left. Ziyech is there for Chelsea. Again, Manchester United, lots of red shirts behind the ball. Just over 4 minutes left and it's 1-1. Is there to be a late winner? Chelsea look the more likely, but then they've looked the more likely for the whole game. Mount crosses right-footed, diving header clear by Eric Bailly, who's been excellent alongside Victor Lindelof with Harry Maguire out injured.
You're absolutely right with that one, Joe. They have been absolutely excellent.
Suspended, sorry, I should say Maguire.
But I think they have to really look at that and say, those two have done well, keep them there.
Pulisic edge of the area, infield to Loftus-Cheek, he's in the box, the angle's tight, gets a touch off Matic, and that will be yet another Chelsea corner. And ironically, the two Chelsea corners that we've seen, one that was thundered away and led to the United goal, and then the other that was the foul on Thiago Silva that led to the equaliser. But that aside, the Chelsea they've been dealt with well by Manchester United.
They have been dealt with very, very well. They defended as a back four really, really well. As good as it's been in a long, long time.
Ziyech left-footed in swinging delivery, out comes De Gea, misses it. Lukaku, can he turn it in? No, he can't. And now Jesse Lingard's going to break for Manchester United. He surges towards halfway. James does brilliantly. Gets there first and sees it back to Edouard Mendy. I forgot he was on the pitch, the Chelsea goalkeeper, Paul.
Yeah, he's gone.
He's given it straight to Fred. Fred in the penalty area. He goes for goal. It's a terrible effort from Fred. And Mendy with a remarkable mistake, but he's not punished. And if you're a Manchester United fan, I have to say you wouldn't have wanted it to fall for Fred.
And if you're a Mendy, you really wanted the bad pass to go to Fred, to be perfect.
He didn't know what to do, did he?
No, he did not know what to do.
Jorginho, 5 yards to the edge of the area. What a strange game it's been. A couple of the mistakes from Chelsea have been extraordinary.
Oh, they've been framed. They're in big gold frames, their mistakes they've made, Chelsea.
If that falls to Cristiano Ronaldo, though.
Yeah.
And then you think Manchester United are going to pinch it.
How can you be so sloppy like that? Ooh.
Well, a remarkable error from Mendy, but it was a half attempt at a chip from Fred, who didn't look convincing. Bruno Fernandes is going to take his time leaving the field here.
He's just been told to get off straight off, not to go all the way. So I think he's got to walk around, doesn't he? Oh, this is a strange substitution.
Donny van der Beek on. Well, you just wonder whether Manchester United might get another chance on the counter. Fred's been handing the piece of paper with some instructions on it. And Chelsea, meanwhile, looking for a winner. 90 seconds of normal time to go. Camped in the Manchester United half. Chalobah, midway inside it, angles it out to the near side, and Pulisic, the Chelsea right. Now Mount's making a run towards the dead ball line. He's shrugged aside by Bailly, but then he wins it back. He plays it to Lukaku with his back to goal, lays it off to Hakim Ziyech. Left-footed strike. What's that handball? It came off McTominay.
No,
Chelsea fans think so. No penalty given.
No, he's gone down holding his face just to make sure.
And the game is stopped. Let's have a look at it again on our monitor. And well, he took one for the team there, Scott McTominay. Well done to him.
I don't know what Bailly's doing. That's the first he's let himself down there. Bailly. He's done so well to win the ball, and then he's allowed Mount to take it back off him again so easy. And then the ball goes into Lukaku. Lukaku's ball back to Ziyech. That didn't say hit me first time. That said I've got to work hard to control it. That was a terrible way to pass. That was. He gave back.
Michael Carrick, what a baptism of fire. His first interim game at Premier League level. Hands in pockets. We are about to enter second half stoppage time. And credit to the Manchester United interim boss, you have to say, Paul Parker, because regardless of the circumstances of the goal that they got, one of the criticisms of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was that he didn't have a plan. There was no identity. Manchester United have had a clear tactical plan today.
Yeah, I asked a question though, and I said the two who take the training is Carrick and Kieran McKenna. They're the two who are taking it all the time under his reign. Why suddenly are they doing something different? Why didn't it happen before? Was it down to the manager?
5 minutes added time. Thomas Tuchel is upset with something. He's speaking to the fourth official, David Coote. Not entirely sure what those complaints are about. I think it's probably because of the delay while McTominay is being treated. And he's probably saying, isn't he, Paul, here, make sure you add on the the 5 minutes to stoppage time on stoppage time. McTominay gets to his feet.
See, I don't know how they can do that. They should have waited until this was done before they make the time up, put the time up.
Well, surely the referee will add on the time. But there is encouragement for Manchester United today. I think it's... is that fair, Paul?
I'm a cynic, by the way, and I'm just saying everyone has raised themselves because this game is massive. It's a big game. Everyone's doing things that they haven't done most of this season.
Yeah.
The next game is even more important because they have to replicate the yardage and the power they're putting to make that yardage up in the next game. In my opinion, that's what they have to do. You can't just go out and think it's going to happen now. We're going to stroll through. We're Manchester United. That doesn't work that way. There's no point going out and getting maybe a good point against Chelsea or maybe 3 points and then to the next game just allowed yourself to be walked all over and be weak.
Yellow card for Ronaldo. complaining to the referee, thinks Manchester United should get the ball back. 5 minutes added. Officially, we've had 2, but we haven't been playing at all since the board went up. So it all starts from here. 1-1 Chelsea against Manchester United. Play back underway. McTominay back on the field. Can Manchester United hold out, as they have done, and so admirably so far, or can Chelsea get themselves a late winner that they will feel they deserve? Loftus-Cheek wriggles away from Tellez. He's bullied by Fred, though, who does brilliantly to win it back. Great industry from Fred. And now Lingard putting it down the left to Ronaldo. The flag has stayed down. Ronaldo at an angle into the penalty area, onto his and Thiago Silva whips it off his toes. And the flag is still down, and Thomas Tuchel is berating the fourth official.
I'm with him. He's about 5 yards offside, and all of a sudden they get a corner out of it. It's an advantage. It shouldn't be allowed.
Well, we've got to look at it. He's clearly offside.
And yet they get a corner. That's got to be brought back. So what you do in theory is let him put the ball in the net, and then VAR will turn around and say, oh, he's offside. But that should go back. That should go back to an offside. From the first instance, shouldn't be a goal kick.
Well, it won't.
That's madness.
Chelsea will have cause for complaint if
massively.
United were to get a winner here.
That's embarrassing. That's terrible. That ruling is allowed to stand.
Thomas Tuchel is still got a face like thunder.
It doesn't make any sense.
Anthony Taylor's going to come and speak to him.
Well, obviously he's gone and said something, but he's going to turn around and talk common sense to him and say how you can give back. Because if they'd have scored and scored, they would have retracted it. They would have said no goal, but yet they're going to give a corner.
Yellow card for Tuchel. Chelsea 1, Manchester United 1. What an amazing afternoon at Stamford Bridge. 93.5 minutes in.
I think he's got a massive case there, and I think other managers will go with him as well, especially if United to go and score from it.
It's Alex Tellez with the deep delivery, left-footed, headed away well by Thiago Silva. Comes out to Fred. It's still alive for Manchester United here. Tellez with a deep cross into the penalty area. Again, Thiago Silva thumps away the header. Ziyech, can he prevent the corner? I'm not sure if he did. The throw is signalled by the referee. And Chelsea are still fuming, I think, because it's killed the momentum for Chelsea.
It's poor. That's poor refereeing. You see Thiago Silva running back going, he's offside, he's offside. Give the offside.
I make it 2 of the 5 minutes played, the added time. Chalobah trying to clear for Chelsea, struggling to clear under pressure from Van der Beek. Heavy touch from the Dutchman, and then Chalobah goes to ground, he's fouled. Chelsea will get themselves a free kick. We're about halfway through stoppage time. Thomas Tuchel, arms folded on. Halfway, it's 1-1. Chelsea are going to go a point clear as things stand. It's a strange game, hasn't it, Paul Parker?
It certainly has, and you never see Tuchel get like that. He's very calm, and that's the reason why, because I think he's got a point. That was ridiculous refereeing.
Forward high by Thiago Silva, headed away by Matic, who's been excellent for Manchester United. Brought down by Van der Beek, tactical foul from Jorginho, yellow card coming up. It was a tactical foul that was worth making in that situation, I think, because Ronaldo had made the move to the right, and Manchester United here, 5 minutes over the 90, 3 of the stoppage time actually played, I make it. They're in a pretty comfortable position, I think, now.
Yeah, they are. They certainly are. Chelsea have lost a bit of momentum with the substitution of Lukaku. Nothing's materialised. Lukaku hasn't been near the ball, has he?
Going to be a yellow card for Eric Bailly, is it here? Yeah. Is there going to be one for Fred? No, Fred's just complaining by time wasting.
To be honest, he wasn't really. He's just got to the ball. He doesn't often take free kicks.
That's 7 yellow cards apiece. Wan-Bissaka down by the corner flag, jinks away neatly from Reece James. James gets in front of Wan-Bissaka to win it back, and it's going to stay in play down by the corner flag, cleared by James upfield. Lukaku midway inside his own half, holds it up neatly. We've had 96 minutes, and Lukaku sees it one back off his toes. I make it 1 minute to play. Ball on the right for Manchester United. Lingard is tackled by Lukaku in the left back position. Now then, here goes Mount. Out to the right, and Pulisic. Is there one last chance with 45 seconds to go? Pulisic is fouled by Alex Tellez. Well, this is developing the feel of a grudge match. Free kick taken quickly. Mount down the right towards Ziyech. Right hand edge of the area. He's all left foot though, Ziyech. A great reverse ball to find Pulisic. Dead ball line, digs it in, far post, and it's hammered over the top by Antonio Rudiger. Well, what a moment that would have been, and that might just be the last chance.
And the problem you got here is Ronaldo. Ronaldo's not doing his tracking. He has not done the tracking. He's just virtually stopped still, and it allows Pulisic to get to the byline, pulls it back. Rudiger, I don't care he's a centre-half. He's a centre-half with quality, great technique, and he must be so disappointed that he has not hit the target. De Gea's had a good first half. In the second half, he hasn't had much to do, has he? Few punches out from corners.
You're absolutely right. That was the chance you feel for Chelsea. And we've had 97.5 minutes and the game ends at 1-1, and Manchester United escape with a point from Stamford Bridge on a remarkable afternoon. Chelsea go a point clear at the top, but they can barely believe they haven't won the game. Jorginho at the centre of both goals. First his error that led to an opener from Jadon Sancho, a horror mistake from Jorginho really, and Sancho racing clear to score his first Premier League goal. Jorginho equalising from the penalty spot after Wan-Bissaka's foul on Thiago Silva. Rudiger hit the bar and missed a glorious chance in stoppage time, and it finishes on Premier League Live. Chelsea 1, Manchester United 1. Hudson-Odoi, he thinks about going on the outside, then cuts back in onto his right foot, sets up Rudiger, will go for goal, right-footed, hits the crossbar, comes back towards James in the penalty area, and I think the offside flag is up. Antonio Rudiger with a thunderous effort from distance, and it clattered the bar.
It certainly did, and I think a lot of the noise was from David De Gea as well, because I think the way he's gone down, look like he's holding his arm now. He bashes himself against the post. That's what happened there. But that crashed against that crossbar.
Comes out to the edge of the Manchester United box, and then Fernandes thumps it clear, high up into the air. Heavy touch by Jorginho, and Sancho is clear. Rashford to his left. Sancho goes on, and he scores his first Premier League goal for Manchester United. Smash and grab at Stamford Bridge. A horror mistake by Jorginho, and Sancho takes advantage. And what a story developing here.
That's absolutely incredible. Moving, talking about it, and you didn't believe it was going to happen. And when it happens, you don't believe it's going to happen like that.
Alonso floats this one in high towards the edge of the 6-yard box. It's headed away once again by Manchester United. Loftus-Cheek went down, and the penalty's given. Anthony Taylor has given the spot kick. He usually goes with the hop, skip and the jump.
But remember his last penalty,
it was woeful.
But then, I mean, at the moment he's put Italy in a lot of pressure, isn't it?
Because that certainly one has.
Yes.
And it was his error for the Manchester United goal, but can he draw Chelsea level and give himself some payback? Hop, skip and a jump, and he scores. De Gea went the wrong way, and Chelsea are level. And that's how it finished. 1-1 at Stamford Bridge. Paul Parker, final thoughts. Chelsea a point clear. Manchester United escape with a point.
Yep, I suppose you look at Chelsea, they'll be very disappointed how much they had the ball. Disappointed they didn't make De Gea work. United will be delighted with the point. Delighted in a way with their performance as well, because they were very regimented in what they'd done. There was a bit of a plan there. They lacked that bit of that edge up top, but I tell you, when it mattered to have that edge, Sancho showed it as well. That was a wonderful finish, and great composure, great belief as well to go on and score the goal that he did.
All right, Paul, great stuff as always. That's the former Chelsea and Manchester United defender Paul Parker with us on Premier League Live. Busy day. Let's remind you of the results. Leicester 4, Watford 2, Manchester City 2, West Ham United 1. Brentford beat Everton by a goal to nil. Burnley against Spurs was called off, and that because of snow in the area of Turf Moor. And here in a dramatic game, a thrilling game at Stamford Bridge, it has finished. Chelsea 1, Manchester United 1. Thanks very much indeed for your company. We'll see you next time. You've been listening to Premier League Live.
It's the ultimate fusion of football and celebrity.
The Best 11 podcast from Talk Sport.
Johnny Owen and Mark Webster interview the biggest names in popular culture.
Looking back at the role the beautiful game has played in their lives.
Paul Weller. Could I just start off apologising for last weekend?
Actor Stephen Graham. Good morning, Stevie.
Morning. Sharing their earliest football memories.
How they celebrated their team's successes.
Culminating in their all-time best 11.
Noel Gallagher.
Let's deal with the hangover and let's have it again after that.
The Best 11 podcast. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Tom Rennie. Join me for a weekly podcast, Week in the Tackle, available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm going to be joined by Brian Dunseth, MLS legend, to tackle the biggest stories from the week in soccer.
And the great thing about working with Tom and making Week in the Tackle is we're only going to be covering things we think are worth tackling.
This show is all about passion. What's going to get us riled up? What's going to get you riled up to give us all something to chew on?
We're not here to sit on the fence and tell you the stories of the day. That's what your phone's for. You'll be scrolling through Twitter while listening anyways.
Exactly. I'm scrolling through Twitter right now. I'll save you the trouble. It is all bad news. This show is about tackling all the news of the week, giving our take on why it's interesting and why we think you should know it.
Who should be sacked? Who should be bought? Who should be sold? Who was right? Who was wrong?
Strong opinion, big stories, no agenda.
Week in the Tackle is available on Mondays from wherever you get your podcasts. If it's a big story in soccer, we'll tackle it.
Got an unquenchable thirst for sport? Get up to speed with the day's biggest sports stories with the Talk Sport Hit. Crammed full of the latest team news, big match previews, and discussing the day's hottest topics.
Been improving week in, week out.
Plus, get all the latest results and full fan reaction to the biggest events in world sport.
It's a wonderful goal!
Satisfy your thirst for sports news with the Talk Sport Hit. Subscribe now on Acast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
The Women's Football Weekly Podcast.
With Faye Carruthers. All the action, excitement and drama from across the entire women's game.
Cleared off the line by Steph Horton.
Including the Women's Super League.
Ellen White is there to tap it in.
The UEFA Women's Champions League.
Lana Cleland striking from outside the penalty area.
And the Euro 2021 qualifiers.
On the edge of the area to Emsley. And Emsley's going to finish it off.
Plus, all the home nations' international friendlies.
Lucy Bronze with the strike from the edge of the penalty area.
World-beating big match conversation.
There's Jodie Taylor.
Subscribe now to the Women's Football Weekly Podcast on Acast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Chelsea remain top of the Premier League but failed to take all points. Chelsea remain top of the Premier League but failed to take maximum points at home to Manchester United in a game that ended 1-1 at Stamford Bridge. Jadon Sancho gave the visitors the lead following an error from Jorginho, his first in the Premier League and his second goal in a week. Jorginho then atoned for his error in the second half by converting a penalty to level the game. Manchester City are now just a point behind the leaders. They saw off the challenge of West Ham at the Etihad in extremely difficult conditions. The second half of the game was delayed after ground staff cleared snow off the pitch, and City boss Pep Guardiola says he owes the win to them. Elsewhere, Leicester saw off Watford 4-2 at the King Power in similarly difficult conditions. Jamie Vardy grabbed 2 for the hosts, and manager Brendan Rodgers said the former England striker was back to his best. Brentford edged out Everton 1-0 thanks to a penalty from Ivan Toney. It's now 7 without a win for Everton. However, manager Rafael Benitez is remaining calm. And Burnley's clash at home to Spurs was postponed after conditions were deemed unplayable at Turf Moor.